Last night it looked like the New York Mets were on a bridge to nowhere. Down 7-1, they posted their largest comeback win of the season as they rallied to beat the Cardinals on Carlos Beltran's walk-off home run. Now the Mets seeking extra liberty from the rest of the pack in the National League as they try to make it 2 straight over the St. Louis Cardinals at Shea Stadium in New York. The Mets and the Cardinals also available in high definition. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Shea Stadium. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets try to keep rolling. They've won 5 games in a row, 9 straight here at home, and it's coincided with Carlos Delgado getting red hot.
Well, he's the one guy in this lineup, I feel, that can carry this ball club more than anybody, and he struggled for a while. Had a great start. Hit 2 home runs last night. One of them is 400, a grand slam also. He is a big guy in this order, and for him to come out of it now, this could be a good sign for the Mets offensively.
Only the 42nd player in history to hit 400 home runs. The Mets will get more offensive pump tomorrow night when Sean Green shows up to join the Mets lineup. Tonight, though, Steve Trachsel goes after his 13th win. It's been a stunning year for Steve.
It really has. Coming off that back surgery last year when he only made 6 starts, but now pitching as well as he ever has and really has gotten better as the season's progressed. 63 career wins with the Mets. That's more than he had with his original club, the Cubs. And Steve Trachsel right now is pitching his best baseball. One of his best starts all year was in St. Louis, where he lost a 1-0 game to Mark Mulder when Mulder was pitching better. Mulder pitching tonight, first start off the DL. He's been struggling with his speed and his control. Did not pitch well in his rehab start, so they're looking for 5 innings. St. Louis is looking for 5 innings from Mulder tonight.
Well, the Cardinals may be the second best team in the National League, but they're just trying to hang on and win the National League Central while the Mets are running away with the National League East. Last night, Carlos Beltran had the climactic at-bat in the bottom of the 9th inning. This has been something of a pattern for the Mets this year. Some walk-off history when we come back to Shea. Another beautiful evening in New York. The August weather has just been stunning over the last couple of weeks in the big city. And the Mets have been making noise in the big city all year long. Last night it was Carlos Beltran with his 2nd walk-off home run of the season. Mets have had 11 walk-off wins already this season here at Shea Stadium. Here's a little flavor of them. Sixteenth inning, 2-2 to Beltran. Ripped in the air to deep right field. Abreu looks up, and we're going home. Beltran with a home run wins it for the Mets in the bottom of the 16th inning. Delgado to deep left field. That goes Bay at the track, at the wall. It's out of here. Carlos Delgado wins the game with an opposite field home run. To deep left center field. That goes Andrew looking up. It's a base hit to win the game. Beltran scores on the David Wright 400-foot fly ball. That's a game winner for Indy Chavez. Chavez drives home the winner in the bottom of the 13th inning, and the Mets win it 1-0. Toward the middle, grabbed by Majeski, throws it high and gets away. Here comes Chavez. Chavez to the plate, and the Mets win the ball game. To the right. Get in the air to center field. Damon going back. It's over his head and the Mets win it.
To right field, Millage will tag. The catch by Wynn. Here comes Millage. Here's the throw to the plate. The slide. Put it in the books. The Mets win it in the 11th inning.
Line drive base hit and the Mets win it. Valentine delivers the game winner on the bottom of the 10th as Beltran comes home. 10 where one swing could win it for New York. He whips it to deep right. The ball is out of here. Out of here. The Mets win the ball game. Beltran with a walk-off 2-run homer in the bottom of the 9th.
Call last night, the double-double.
Well, there is Beltran, last night's hero, and what a year he's having, an MVP-style season. He stole a little bit of thunder from Albert Pujols in his 2 homers and 7 RBIs last night. Stole a little thunder from his buddy Carlos Delgado, who had 2 homers, 5 RBIs, and his 400th career home run. There was a lot to cheer about last night, and there's been a whole lot to cheer about here at Shea Stadium this year. Delgado and Pujols put on quite a show last night. It was Beltran who wound up with the game winner. What can they do for an encore tonight? We're about to find out here at Shea. Dodge. Another gorgeous night here at Shea Stadium. Another huge crowd gathering. Better than 49,000 on hand last night. Should be upwards of 50,000 tonight to watch Steve Trachsel face this Rico Cardinals lineup. Albert Pujols coming off a career high in RBIs last night. Tied the most RBIs ever against the Mets, but the first player ever to get 7 RBIs against the Mets and have his team lose. It's that kind of year for the Mets.
Well, Steve Trachsel going for his 13th win tonight. 9-9 for his career against St. Louis. He's had 10-1 his last 13 starts. 7-game win streak he's had this year. And 16 out of his 24 starts, 3 earned runs or less.
And he will start off by facing a newly minted Cardinal, the former Met Jose Vizcaino, who was just signed today by the Cardinals after being released from San Francisco. A late addition to the lineup tonight and leading off against Trachsel. It's hard to believe it's been 10 years since Jose Vizcaino played for the Mets. He's now 38 years old. And Brian Bannister's back in the house. Bannister here to throw a side session today and perhaps stick around for a start on Saturday night. 1-1 to Vizcaino.
It's a lot of pressure on a side session, isn't it? Got to try to impress in the bullpen.
The red hot Chris Duncan waits on deck for the Cardinals, who have a chance to expand their lead in the National League Central tonight, with the Cincinnati Reds having lost 7-3 to Houston this afternoon. So the Cardinals can jack their lead back up to 2 games with a win tonight. 1-2 to Vizcaino, who's hitting .210 on the year, and he slaps one to third. Nice easy hop for right, one away. 1 out and nobody on.
And the Met defense brought to you by Geico. Millage back in right field, Chavez in left. I think a lot of things will be settled once Sean Green shows up. He'll be a fixture out there in right field. It'll be interesting to see who Willie opts for. I'm sure he'll platoon in left field between Millage, Chavez, and Millage and Chavez and Tucker.
Michael Tucker has done a nice job for the Mets since they called him up from Norfolk. Here's Chris Duncan, and he waves at the splitter, 0-1. Well, Willie has said Sean Green's going to be his right fielder. He's going to play every day. That's the plan. You figure he'll probably bat 6th behind David Wright. The Mets are hoping to have Cliff Floyd back in a week or so. Cliff is almost to the point of being ready to play in some minor league rehab games, as you look at Albert Pujols on deck.
Well, there'll be a serious overload of left-hand hitters in that lineup and serious susceptibility to left-hand pitching.
And Duncan lays off. And the counterbalance to that all year has been David Wright. But David, over the last couple of months, has started to really struggle against lefties.
And I also think, too, you never know how good he was going to be. Nady was also in the mix to counterbalance.
Right to Delgado, 2 away. Duncan scorched one into Delgado's big glove. So 2 out and nobody on, and here is King Albert.
Well, that's his first shot, the 3-run shot. Here's the grand slam. Just another day at the ballpark for Pujols. What a player.
38 home runs, 105 runs batted in, 327 batting average, last year's National League MVP, and certainly right there among the top candidates to win it again this year. And the fastball for a strike. 6 straight years now, Pujols has driven in 100 or more runs, and there you see some of his other particulars. He is just a stunning hitter. 1-1.
First player ever, first 5 years of his career, 100 runs, 100 RBIs, 300 average, 30 home runs. Whenever you're the first person ever in the history of baseball, something special.
And he's going to do it again this year. Needs 7 more runs to get there. Takes the curveball high 2-1. Is there any way to pitch him?
I was talking to Ricky Horton, former Cardinal pitcher, many other teams, in fact, from New Hyde Park, New York State. And he was saying that he just makes great adjustments. For a young hitter, he's not so young anymore. Been around a long time.
Pops up the fastball, and right appears to have room. And Trachsel's got himself a 1-2-3 opening inning. So he takes care of Pujols to end the first, as Trachsel sets the Cardinals down in order.
The Jets and Giants meet in their annual preseason clash, and Sportsnet New York has a special late-night encore of this Big Apple gridiron battle. Jets versus Giants, preseason encore Friday at 11, only on Sportsnet New York.
Get your New York sports here.
First start off the disabled list for 29-year-old Mark Mulder. He's been out better than 2 months. And after 3 rehab starts, back on the mound for the Cardinals, and boy, do they need him. Jose Reyes leads off and takes ball 1. Here's the Chevy Offers Mets lineup he'll face. Delgado coming off the big night last night. 5 home runs in the last 5 games for Delgado. Millage and Chavez at the corners, and Woodward getting another start at second base as Valentin is still a day away. Reyes was a very hard 0 for 5 last night. He was robbed twice of base hits. And he takes a strike 2-1.
Well, Mark Mulder, if you watch him, if you've seen him pitch before, he is throwing under duress. That just is not the same motion he's had before.
Through the wickets and into center field, and Reyes has himself a leadoff base hit.
Well, Jose Reyes is a better right-hand hitter than he is a left-hand hitter. He's a pretty good left-hand hitter.
The catcher,
right up the middle on that sinker, and that is only his second hit in this homestand. He had a tough night last night, as you said, a hard 0 for 5. But now 2 for 18 on this road trip. I mean, homestand, excuse me.
And he's aboard leading off. Last night, Reyes, despite going 0 for 5, scored his 99th run of the year. He scored exactly 99 runs last year. So now he has a chance to pick up his 100th run scored if the guys behind him can move him around. Loduca 3 hits last night and a great tag at home plate, contributing to the Mets win. And he pops it up along the line. Belliard, and he just manages to hold on. A lot of white showing for Belliard, 1 away.
Well, Mulder was on the disabled list because he had a shoulder impingement, and you can see that it looks very forced. The problem is that he has not been able to get his arm up, his elbow above his shoulder, and that's made his pitches flatter. He's lost some of his miles per hour on his pitches, and that's why he's been struggling. They're hoping, though, that he comes out of it now.
Well, here's Beltran. Last time up, he wound up going skyward and jumping on home plate after his game-winning home run last night. Now has 36 for the year, 2 shy of his career high. Here's the Coors Light cold blast, the finisher from last night.
Don't throw it.
He threw it. Out the instant it left the bat.
Man, Gary, you said it very poignantly last night. We never saw Beltran smile so much, beaming last year at all, and it just, what a difference a year makes.
And we're seeing more and more of it as this year goes along. And there's the other hero from last night. Last night, Beltran and Delgado homered in the same game for the 9th time this year. Only Ortiz and Ramirez in Boston have done it more. 2 teammates homering in the same game. 1-2 to Beltran. Beltran among the top 5 in home runs in the National League. You know, when we talk about the MVP race, I wonder how much consideration a guy like Ryan Howard is going to get, leading the league in home runs and RBIs.
Well, he's going to be in the top 5, that's for sure.
Yes.
But I don't think he's going to get there with his team under 500 or just trying to get in the wild card.
And time asked for by Beltran.
What about Soriano with 41 home runs in that park?
See, but the Phillies at least, you know, are around 500. The Nationals are a last place team.
Well, that's what Frank Robinson said. He said he is our MVP, but certainly with our record, as Frank Robinson's words, Soriano should not be in the top 5.
And the curveball misses 2-2, which opens up that whole question about what the MVP represents.
Yes.
After all, you know, if a Ryan Howard or Alfonso Soriano is having a great season, why should they be responsible for the fact that the rest of their team isn't any good? Why should they get penalized for that?
So you're not of the school that more consideration should be given to a player on a winning team?
I'm saying that more consideration might be given because he's playing in more important games, but that you shouldn't eliminate players because their teams aren't doing well.
And I don't think they do all the time. Andre Dawson is a prime example when he won.
A-Rod, first time he won with Texas.
Well, didn't Mike Schmidt win it in '86?
Yes.
And we blew Philly out of the gym.
Yeah.
Reyes runs, ball 4, and Beltran's aboard, and the Mets have 2 men on. And I think that's changed. I think even more than ever now, voters are saying, well, the team has to win for me to give this guy full consideration, unless there's somebody who's blowing the league away.
I totally agree with you, and I think it's a close race, but it's not over. Beltran and Pujols are the front runners, but remember Vladimir Guerrero, the one, you know, he had a great year anyways, but then in September he just went crazy, won that MVP, and that can happen anytime.
Carl Yastrzemski in '67. Yeah. He had everything in September of that year, leading the Red Sox, and locked down that MVP.
It could hurt Beltran, because suppose the Cardinals are going to be fighting it out with Cincinnati, and suppose Pujols is the big gun down in September winning the big ball games. That could give him what it needs, because Beltran obviously is playing not meaningless games,
less
but
meaningful games.
Absolutely.
Delgado, the 42nd member of the 400 home run club, not done much against lefties this year.
Well, this is what I want to watch, because I feel he's out of it. And the fact that he's waiting now, so it's important, you fans at home that are watching, and Met fans that watch all the time, keep an eye on Delgado now, how he hits left-handers as he gets into this hot streak, because he has been having a hard time with them so far this year.
Only 5 of his 31 home runs have come against lefties, and he's hitting just .219 against left-handers. He goes the other way, and it goes foul.
He has the ability to do that, and it's very rare. There you see the Stark numbers right there. That's our favorite word,
Stark.
This year. Stark.
8 Stark. Hit, sign, win, suit.
I almost want to throw away those numbers, because the middle of his season was just such a prolonged slump. It's all about, you want to finish strong, and I'll be watching with great curiosity to see how he hits lefties, but in particular, but even right-handers. He swung the bat great last night.
Mulder ahead of him 1-2. Throws a curveball, and he rips it deep toward the right field corner. Short hopping the fence, Reyes will score his 100th run. Loduca to third on Delgado's RBI double. 1-0 New York.
Yep. Well, you see right there, we're talking about him staying back. That was an off-speed curveball, Ron, that Mulder did not get away enough. If Delgado's out in front, he doesn't touch this pitch. He's staying back. He kept his hands back, and sure, he let go with one hand, but he had the balance to cover the plate. And that, to me, is another just a positive sign that he's on his way. And they're going to walk David Wright intentionally.
In the first inning. And Wright is a struggling hitter right now. 0 for his last 11 and 0 for his last 18 against left-handers. But Chris Woodward is hitting 6th in the order, and so Tony La Russa figures that's a better bet for him.
And Mulder is a ground ball pitcher, so trying to get a double play here to get out of the inning. Keith, you make a great point about Delgado. Remember yesterday, his first at bat in a home run in the second inning was a curveball from Weaver. So not only the right-handed curveballs from the right-handers, but also the curveballs from the left-handers he's staying back on.
Well, we're going to show the swing on Delgado here in his double, RBI double. Watch the hands go back. Look at the weight. There's no weight going forward. is like a golfer. It's very similar. Golfers, if they get their weight forward, you can. This is his head's on the ball. He's just getting ready to let go with the bottom hand. That's good hitting with good balance. You have to be straight up and down at the plate, balanced on your swing.
So a chance for Woodward with the bases loaded, and he takes a strike. Check out Delgado's eyes.
To lighten up right now.
Ooh, big eyes.
That's concentration.
Woodward hitting just .219. And gets just far enough away from Molina, but not far enough for Beltran to take off.
Oh, nice fundies right there.
Better than last night.
Yes.
Remember when he took the one off the mask?
And the backhand.
Also had a pass ball last night. Infield to double play depth for Woodward. And he takes the fastball for a strike, 1-2.
Well,
that's a long dry spell.
And you know what? When you're in that kind of street of minute scoring position, you know it. And you can tighten up.
Only 16 RBIs this year for Woodward. And Mulder tries to go a little wider, 2-2.
I don't see much sink on his fastball, Ron. I think it's pretty straight, isn't it?
Yeah, it's because he's not able to get that arm up. It's kind of a flat fastball. Now, if it does run, it just runs away from the hitter, not down and away.
Mets at their 9th grand slam of the year last night. 3-2 now to Woodward with the bases full. Lastings Millage waiting on deck. Getting the armor in place. Concentration. Focus. Visualization. 3-2 to Woodward. He chased it and just got a piece of it.
Well, he swung at ball 4 right there, and Chris knows it. Little late movement on this one, away. Too close to take. I think it's just going to miss. And it is going to just miss, but too close to take.
Mets have a run home here in the first inning and looking to jump on Mulder in his first start off the disabled list. Ripped down the left field line. That'll score 2 at least. Beltran in. Delgado right behind him. Here comes Wright. This guy can't handle the relay. 3-run double for Chris Woodward. That'll get you off the side. 4-0 New York.
Well, he gets a hanging breaking ball here. 3-2.
3-2, trying to trick him. What happens after throwing all those fastballs away? This slider in almost speeds up his bat, Keith.
And it just didn't do much. It just stayed flat and up in the strike zone. And the only guy you got to worry about scoring here is Wright, and Wright hustling all the way. Mets off to another great first inning here.
4 runs are home. Here's Lastings Millage hitting 7th in the order. 4 hits in his last 2 games. And he breaks his bat on the curveball.
And
that was a little unusual.
I've never had a bat do that to me. I don't know what this wood's made of today. The maple, I don't know what it is. If the bat did this, one of my bats, I'd call Louisville and say, you're sending me balsa wood.
Well, you hit it right off the end, right off the tip.
Oh, you probably did let Charlie hear it first, though. Charlie Samuels, the equipment manager.
Wow, that is just, you would say that wood's dry and rotted, and get me a new bat.
But it looks nice. It's a pretty bat. 1-1 to Millage. Now, if you're Dave Duncan and Tony La Russa, you're sending Mulder out there hoping. But how much can you afford to watch?
Well, I think he has to get his work. I mean, even if he goes and gives up 7-8 runs, he's got to get his work in, because if they don't have him the last month pitching like Mulder does, they're going to have a bad stretch of it in that last month.
It just looks like he's
Feeling for it.
Yeah. You're throwing 70-mile-an-hour breaking balls. That's not Mark Mulder. Yeah. Look at this crowd coming in.
Yeah, late arriving crowd. They've sold 50,000 seats tonight, and probably about 10,000 of them still on their way in.
That reminds me of the '69 World Series. Remember?
Yeah.
When they showed. I remember I was a kid. '69. How old was I? Shoot, I was in high school, a sophomore.
Millage hits it to right. Wilson back has it lined up. Woodward tags at second. He'll move over to third. Now they're 2 away. And Andy Chavez getting another start against a lefty. Might be the last one he gets for a while.
Number 10, Andy Chavez.
Sean Green is scheduled to land in New York at about 12:30 tonight. And he'll be activated tomorrow. You have to believe that Ricky Leday is going to be the odd man out. Although the Mets have made no indication in that direction.
Well, they have a glut of outfielders anyway. So when you have that kind of a glut, usually it's one of the outfielders that have to go.
High tight fastball. Then the Mets will have to make another player move Saturday to activate a pitcher to take Glavin's spot. And you'd assume they'll just put Glavin on the disabled list at that point. They haven't done that yet. 31 first inning pitches for Mulder. There's Bannister, who certainly is a prime candidate to get that Saturday start. 2-0 to Chavez.
Well, I tell you, when you get injured, you're the forgotten man, aren't you? I mean, Bannister had that great spring training. He came out and pitched well in April. Suffered that hamstring. It was like persona non grata for 4.5 months.
It's amazing how long he's been out. Still unbeaten in the big leagues. Curveball, and that one looked like it might have crossed up Molina. 3-0.
69-mile-an-hour curveball.
And it also, you know, the pitcher's on deck, but a 2-0 curveball, that is certainly not Mark Mulder. Mark Mulder, one of those pitchers that is the kind of guy that comes right after you, wants to get you out in 2 or 3 pitches, and being very cute right here.
On 3-0, he walks Chavez, who will face Trachsel with 2 men on. Second walk, a third walk of the inning. One was intentional. So an ugly return for Mulder, and certainly a very different Mark Mulder than the one we saw back on the 17th of May, when he pitched a brilliant game, 8 1/3 innings, 4 hits, and beat Trachsel and the Mets 1-0.
Yeah, he is a dominant kind of pitcher. When he finished second in the Cy Young in 2001, he won 21 games. He went 19 games, 15 wins, 17 wins, 16 wins. That's the kind of pitcher he is.
103 wins, 55 losses in his career as Trachsel pounds one foul. Among active left-handers, Mulder only behind Johan Santana and Randy Johnson in terms of winning percentage. Former teammate Barry Zito on that list as well.
Well, I would have to say that he's one of those guys that always likes to take the ball. He's obviously pitching less than 100% right now.
Trachsel with 4 hits on the year, including a home run.
And there's no sympathy in this game.
Oh, no.
It's a pack of wolves. We'll see a straggler in the pack. They will swoop.
No mercy rule in the big leagues.
No.
Slice foul, and Wilson over for a look. Reaches in. Did he get it? He caught the ball. That's an amazing play. He lost his hat in the stands, but somehow Preston Wilson made this catch right through the guy in that blue shirt, right through his hands, and into Preston's glove. Oh. That's a startling play. Gets Mulder through the inning.
From now till September 15th, Sportsnet New York and Budweiser are teaming up for Mets live on SNY viewing parties across the New York metro area. Come on down for a shot at giveaways and a chance at free Mets tickets. For complete listing updates and locations, visit SNY.TV today.
Taking pictures for Hallmark.
Yeah.
No, that's computer generated.
Oh, you are one mean guy. Guy gets the shot of the year, and you just want to tear him down.
Look at a plane.
They turned off your microphone once last night.
I know they did.
That is just a gorgeous tableau.
Wow.
Scott Rolen leads off against Steve Trachsel, and Trachsel's been Mr. Run Support this year, and here he is again with a 4-0 lead. Rolen 0 for his last 11, but he's having a good bounce back season after an injury starved 2005. 10th in the National League in batting, 4th in the league in doubles. And he might reclaim his Gold Glove this year, although the competition is starting to build at that position in the National League. The left center field. Beltran is there. One away. Well, today was a day for celebration for the Mets, not just because of last night's happenings, but today is Julio Franco's 48th birthday. And yes, there are 48 candles on that cake that was presented to Julio before the game.
It's the first pro player cake that might go up in flames with 48 candles.
Now, you know, they have a Beatles tribute band here tonight, and they played Happy Birthday to Julio. I was thinking they should have played When I'm 64.
That's right.
But I guess he'll probably still be around when that's apropos. Preston Wilson bangs one right at Reyes. And quickly Trachsel has 2 outs.
The center fielder.
Move from Julio Franco's birthday cake to a duck. Aflac trivia question: who is the second oldest active player behind Franco?
That is a good question.
Well, first comes to mind Roger Clemens, Randy Johnson.
Clemens is older than Johnson and Jamie Moyer.
Okay.
I think Clemens is 44 now, right?
I think so.
Here's Encarnacion. Is there anybody we're not thinking of? Some place kicker?
Yeah.
I am drawing a blank as usual these questions this year.
2-0. Well, I was glad to see Franco turn 48, just so there'd be somebody else who's 48 around.
See, we would have had some good questions, but you cheated in the whole first week. So the whole entire truck is anti you with the questions. They're making them so difficult.
Duque saying, I'm not 48. There's a strike, 2-1. Encarnacion filling in center field. Jim Edmonds out, post-concussion syndrome. David Eckstein placed on the disabled list today by the Cardinals, so they are shorthanded. Little flare. Woodward makes the play. Nicely done by Woodward. He had a tough angle to get to that ball, and he reels it in, and Trachsel's retired the first 6. Good play by Woodward.
Tomorrow, the Mets and Cardinals wrap their 3-game series, and Baseball Night in New York, presented by ChevyOffers.com, delivers all the action from Shea. Mets, Cardinals. Coverage begins tomorrow at 6:30, only on Sportsnet New York.
Get your New York sports here.
The Mets batted around in the first inning, scoring 4 against Mark Mulder, so Jose Reyes leads off the second. Hit one right through the 5-hole on Mulder, leading off the first inning, and then scored his 100th run. First Met since 2000 to score 100 runs in a season, and certainly taking dead aim on the Mets club record for runs scored. Beautiful bunt. Mulder can put it in his pocket, and Reyes is 2 for 2. Well, last night Andy Chavez dropped down a beauty, and tonight Reyes.
Well, he deadens it. Look, he hits it off the end of the bat, which is the way you want to do it, to deaden the ball. And that is perfect.
Boy, he really had his feet positioned well, too, that he got such a big jump out of that box.
Well, he got robbed of 2 hits last night. He's got him back tonight. One between the pitcher's legs and one right in front of him.
Now, Ronnie, does this demoralize you? You've had a tough first inning. You're coming off an injury. 4 runs. You get hammered around in a drag bunt. Perfect.
Oh, it drives you crazy because you're thinking to yourself, hey, everyone else is hitting line drives all over the field. You're going to complicate matters by dropping one down. I remember one afternoon I was in Wrigley. I gave up 3 home runs in a row, and Dave Owen, who is Spike Owen's brother, tried to lay down a bunt. Oh, drove me cuckoo. I'll end up one getting away from me on next pitch.
Reyes goes. Molina's throw not in time. 51 stolen bases for Reyes.
Well, Reyes stealing on the first pitch. Unusual. We talked all year how Reyes likes to get the measure of a pitcher. Well, he took off on the first pitch here.
Well, he was on base for 4 pitches his first time up and didn't go. And he got a pretty good jump there. So 51 steals for Reyes, leading the league. And Loduca takes a strike. Let's see, Reyes trying to run down the club record for runs scored, which is 123 by Edgardo Alfonso in '99. Trying to break his own record for stolen bases that he set last year, or excuse me, he had 60. Roger Cedeno has the club record with 66, so he's taking aim on that. That's a very odd fact that Roger Cedeno has the Mets club record at stolen bases. But he did that in '99, the year that Roger was under the tutelage of Ricky Henderson. They were teammates here. And that's the best year Cedeno ever had. An interesting story behind that banner, you know.
Tell us.
Loduca takes high. When they first put up the banner for 1999, it read "Wild Card Winner," which of course is an oxymoron.
Yeah.
You don't win the wild card. So they changed it. Division Series winner, and that they were on Todd Pratt's game-winning home run against Arizona. Off the fist, that's going to fall in for a base hit. Reyes had to hold up to make sure, so he'll stop at third. And Loduca, who had 3 hits last night, has his first tonight.
Well, this is what he does so well. Look at that inside out. And the key to inside outing, watch the bat, it's level. If you inside out and tilt your bat, you're going to hit a fly ball. It's going to get caught. If you stay level, you can muscle it to the opposite field. Now Reyes has to make sure that Encarnacion does not make the play here. So good base running on Reyes' part. Don't want to get doubled up.
So already ahead 4-0. The Mets poised for more. First and third and nobody out for Beltran, who drew a walk his first time up. Curveball hit slowly, and it's a foul ball. Came off Beltran's leg.
Well, it's a curveball. Oh, and it's hanging up, and he just got out in front. He got a little bit anxious.
Took that one right off the toe. Well, that's what Mulder did earlier this year before the disabled list. His last good start was that 1-0 win against the Mets, and then he had those 6 starts after that with the 11.39 ERA. So you knew something had to be wrong. 1-1.
Now I know that Tony La Russa wants to get work with Mulder here, but you know something, there's not much. There's 5 weeks of season left here, and you're trying to hang on to a division.
It almost seems like a game he might be willing to sacrifice just to get Mulder his work. 2-1.
And I know what you're saying, Keith, is that, you know, you never like your pitcher to give up more than this because you're still in the ball game. It's 4-0. You have a chance with Pujols and Gang to get back in this game. If you let Mulder out here pitching the way he's pitching, giving up 6, 7, 8 runs, you think the game's over. But where is he going to get his work? He can't get it in the bullpen. He needs to get it against hitters.
Now he made 3 rehab starts. He could have made more.
Could have made more. I think they are scuffling. He as a pitcher know they're scuffling. They need someone to come help. And I think that's why they you know, had a parachute and got him in here.
A little sense of urgency.
Yes.
Yep. Well, I mean, their starters are struggling. Their closer is struggling, as we saw last night. 3-1 to Beltran. Line drive caught. Rolen with that gold glove snares it for the first down. And the runners wisely didn't go far.
Well, you're right about that. Good base running. Now watch Rolen, nice jump. He's such a great fielder. Big guy, moves very quick for a big man.
So one away, and here's Delgado, who got the Mets started again tonight with a run-scoring double. His 86th run batted in. Looked for a while as though he might struggle to get to 100, but now he's certainly getting within range. Reyes at third, LaDuca at first with one out. Popped up, and Rolen will have room. 2 out.
Well, Carlos will be mad at himself for this at bat because we've all done it. It's just a poor selection, a poor choice of a pitch to swing at him, particularly on the first pitch. An up and in fastball, up out of strike zone. You know, it's hard to lay off. It's easier said than done. It looks easy up here, but I know that he's going to go and why did I swing at that pitch? That was not my pitch to hit, and it happens.
You know, hitters always say they don't guess, but do you think after you've hit a double and your last at bat on a curveball, when you come to the plate in that situation, you say, you know what, I'm going to get a fastball this first pitch?
So here's a big at bat for David Wright. David was intentionally walked his first time up, and that burned the Cardinals because Chris Woodward followed with a bases clearing double, but it has been a big time struggle for Wright now. Batting average has dropped under 300. 2 months ago he was hitting .338 and riding high. Now looking to pick up Beltran and Delgado and get a run home. A couple of curveballs and it's 2-0. Early in the season, Wright couldn't make an out against lefties. Look what he's done since June the 22nd against lefties, and includes 0 for his last 18.
That's stunning. That's a stunning statistic right there.
2-0 to David. Will he get a fastball? It's low and it's 3-0.
Well, Woody may have another shot here for a big day.
He may play Pujols tonight. That has 3 RBIs. They have a chance for 3 or 4 more. 3-0 to Wright. There's a strike, 3-1.
It's an interesting point in the game. If Wright can come up with a 2-out hit here, it almost breaks Mulder's back. But if Mulder can get this out and get out of this inning, it might get him going to try to get through 4 or 5 innings for the Cardinals.
Big hop for Rolen, gets the force play, and Mulder able to work out of a first and third nobody out jam and keep the Mets off the board. Have him hit it to Rolen. That's a good strategy. 4-0 New York.
Head to Shea Saturday, August 26th, when the Mets battle the Phillies. The first 12,000 kids 12 and under will receive a reading kit with 3 great books courtesy of Banco Popular. For tickets, visit Mets.com.
Third inning, Steve Trachsel working with a 4-0 lead has retired his first 6. We'll check out our subway around the major leagues. Mets getting the Sean Green deal done, getting about half the money that Green is owed through his contract. Adrian Beltre walk-off home run against the Yankees, snapping an 11-game losing streak for the Mariners, and the Seattle escapee Jamie Moyer won his first start. There's a base hit for Ron Belliard, the first off Trachsel. They'll try for 2. Chavez has thrown out 9. Can he get another? Nope. Double for Belliard. Another accurate throw by Chavez, but Belliard just in there with his 25th double of the year.
Well, good hitting by Belliard. He's a very aggressive hitter anyways. Looking for that first pitch fastball. He got it from Steve Trachsel. Great job by Chavez of getting to it. His throw is a little off, but it's a very strong throw, but Belliard would have been safe even with a perfect throw.
So a leadoff double for Belliard. Let's check in with Chris Cotter. Chris.
Hello, gentlemen. And on Polish American Heritage Night, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Brian Bannister. It has nothing to do with Polish American Heritage Night, but I didn't speak to him before the game today. And he's in town here to work with Rick Peterson, as you mentioned before, on his side session, among other things that we don't know of yet about this upcoming weekend. But he said that the time away and the time at Norfolk really helped him concentrate on improving upon the things that he was doing wrong in April, most notably getting behind in hitters, walking hitters, and having to pull the Houdini act, as he called it, to get out of innings. And he said that's not the pitcher that he is or has ever been. And he's anxious to show Met fans exactly the real Brian Bannister and the Brian Bannister that they'll see next time he dons a Mets cap.
Well, we're looking forward to that because the lasting image of Brian Bannister in Met fans' minds right now is him hobbling home in San Francisco after blowing out his hamstring. It was quite a gutty move on his part. Oh, and 2 to Molina. The left center, long run for Beltran, but he'll get over there. 1 away.
The pitcher, number 30, Mark Mulder.
Well, here's Mulder, who, while he has certainly not put up good numbers on the mound this year, has what you would call an extraordinary pitcher's batting average.
7 for 25, 280. My goodness.
Well, in the game that he shut out the Mets over 8 1/3, he had 2 hits in that game.
He is a tremendous athlete.
Yes.
Guy who spent most of his career in the American League, so didn't have a chance to swing the bat. And he takes Trachsel's curveball low.
When you went over to the American League, Ronnie,
Yes.
did you miss swinging?
Did I miss? Yeah, I missed the whole game, to tell you the truth. When I got to Oakland, you had Canseco, McGuire, Lansford. They worked on hitting the entire day. There was, pitchers were over here on the side. Really second-class citizens as far as the American League is concerned. They were a hitter's league. So not only did I miss hitting, but I missed that pitcher up 3 times a game too.
I hear that.
Tony La Russa has his team in first place, but only tenuously. Right now, a game and a half ahead of Cincinnati, with the Reds having lost this afternoon.
I talked to him today during batting practice. I said, "What you working on, Skipper?" He said, "My amnesia." I need a good dose of it right now. He needs a little bit also tonight.
Well, there he is right there. Number 3.
Connie Mack owned the team for 50 years. You can't catch him. And John McGraw, that's the standard. And Trachsel walks Mulder on 4 pitches. Well, that's certainly a no-no. Willie, a bit exasperated, needs to change positions.
Jose Vizcaino.
Manager never wants to show his displeasure, but you can't help yourself sometimes, with something that's, that blatant. Certainly Trachsel is not trying to walk the pitcher on 4 pitches. It happens, but it still makes managers crazy.
So here's Vizcaino making his Cardinal debut. Just walked into the clubhouse 2 hours before the game, shook hands, got his uniform, and he's in the lineup. Cardinals had been playing Aaron Miles at short, but he's not a shortstop. He's a second baseman. So they felt they needed somebody who could play shortstop every day. I want to know how they get the names on the uniforms so fast. I guess they were pursuing Vizcaino for a couple of days, so they had an idea he might sign with them.
I always said that, that people always want to know who gets to know the trades first. General manager. I always thought it was equipment guys. They always seem to be ahead of the curve as far as the trades were concerned, right, Keith?
That's a very good point, because they're the first ones that are told, because they got to get the uniform ready. You're absolutely right.
For Charlie Samuels, not only uniforms, travel.
If Charlie ever told all he knew?
His royal figness.
And Trachsel's now missed with 6 in a row.
Well, Keith and I have a contract with Charlie. He's not able to do any of that stuff, tell all he's told, until Keith and I are gone. He'll honor that.
Is that a handshake agreement?
That's a handshake
Or is there
agreement.
money changing hands there?
Whatever it takes.
2-0 to Vizcaino. There's a strike, 2-1. We talk all the time about Charlie Samuels and his many duties and his exalted position as the mayor of Metville. And There's ball 3 to Vizcaino, and during the next road trip, Chris Connor's going to follow Charlie around, and we'll find out for sure what it is that Charlie does with his day.
I'm telling you, when you walk from the locker room to the dugout and all that equipment is sitting there, it's almost impossible to believe they can get it ready and get it on a plane right after the game.
3-1 pitch, and there's a strike. 3-2.
There's a guy that Chris Carter should follow around all day from Charlie comes to the whatever he comes to the ballpark. So I know Chris would love that.
Well, he's going to do that. That's his plan on the next road trip. My day with Charlie Samuels. 3-2 with runners at first and second and 1 out. Runners don't go, and Vizcaino pops it up. Delgado has it lined up. 2 out. So Trachsel battles back to get Vizcaino, now 2 away, but here's Chris Duncan, and nobody is swinging the bat any better than Duncan right now.
Well, he's a young hitter and a fastball hitter and probably a first ball fastball hitter, and Trachsel in the first at bat and back in the first inning obviously led him off with a splitter and got ahead of him with a splitter in the dirt. Young hitters tend to get over anxious.
Well, that's his father, Dave Duncan, the pitching coach. No one tougher than Duncan. Tony La Russa was saying that his son, Chris Duncan, has those kind of guts. He also has a good idea of the strike zone for a young hitter.
His dad probably wishes he could pitch just about now.
Exactly.
Because they are really struggling with their pitching.
And then wherever he went in the minor leagues, every single manager said that he's a great teammate and just wants to win, plays winning baseball. That's always a nice thing to have follow you around as you get to the big leagues.
2-0. So Trachsel falling behind 3 straight hitters.
Does he remind you a little bit of Jason Giambi, Chris Duncan? When I see him at the plate, although he's huge, such a big guy, but he has sort of a similar trigger action when the ball's coming, which would not be unusual. He watched Giambi play in Oakland.
Those kids who grow up around the game, they've got to have such an advantage when they get to the big leagues. 3-0.
That did not miss by much, and you've got Mr. Pujols in the on-deck circle. Let's watch the glove. Well, let's see. This won't lie right here. That's close, and you know that can go either way, Ron, and the pitcher didn't get it that time.
Joe West, the home plate umpire tonight. 3-0 to Duncan, and there's a strike. 3-1. Sandy Alomar, who had a couple of sons grow up around the game, one of whom's probably headed to the Hall of Fame.
I'd have to agree with you there.
Even though Robbie struggled as a Met, he had a brilliant career.
To play against him in that American League, he was Hall of Fame against me every time I faced him.
And Trachsel walks Duncan to load the bases for Pujols. Well, this is what befell John Maine last night. He walked Miles and Duncan ahead of Pujols, and Pujols hit a grand slam. Now Trachsel has walked Mulder and Duncan in front of Pujols, and he's got the bases loaded again, and Rick Peterson will try and provide some counsel.
Great point, Gary. Certainly has to be opposite of the game plan that you're trying to go against the Cardinals with, and that would be get the guys out in front of Pujols so he can pitch around Albert, but not the last 2 nights from Maine and Trachsel.
Well, he got him out inside the first at bat, and Bradford got him out in the very tight situation last night with the sinker in on his hands. He got a home run to the opposite field, the first at bat on a fastball out over the plate where he extended his hands, and his grand slam to left center field was a hanging slider where he can extend his hands. So we're very curious to see what Trachsel does here.
Is Trachsel comfortable enough throwing hard inside against Pujols?
But he's the type of guy I would love to see Steve pitch more inside, and I think that's the reason why he's been having success lately. He's getting ahead with his fastball. But this is a tough spot here. You can't fall behind. He's struggled with his control this inning, and now he's got the best hitter in baseball up with sacks intoxicated.
Belliard, Mulder, and Duncan the base runners. He misses with a slider. His 4th pitch.
Guys like Albert Pujols will start making you scratch your head and making up pitches out there. That's how good he is.
Well, this is what the game's all about right here.
And Pujols rockets a base hit to center. Belliard scores. Mulder heading home. The throw goes behind Duncan at second, and he gets back safely. 2 more RBIs for Pujols, gives him 107 for the year, and the Met lead is cut in half.
Well, we're talking about his widespread stance. And that's just a hanging curveball. Got it away, but belt high. And see how level his stroke is. But the fact that he is so widespread in his stance, as you see, you're going to send the runner from second. He has no wasted motion. It's just he's able to have such balance because he's so widespread in his stance. He hardly takes a stride. It's like Joe DiMaggio was so widespread.
Rolen fouls it back. It just seems, and it has seemed from the first time we saw him in spring training in 2001, as though he just doesn't have a pitch that can get him out, that he seems to adjust to everything.
Well, he knows with certain pitchers, Keith, doesn't he, that if you don't throw 94, 95 miles an hour, he knows that he's quick enough to adjust to your fastball.
He has a very good level swing on a pitch at belt high and above. A lot of hitters today are taught to hit off their back foot, and a Jim Edmonds style. Jim Edmonds is the best at it, a big uppercut swing. Well, when you swing level on a high pitch, the bat's going to come on the same plane as the bat, and less likelihood for error. If you're a great high ball hitter, it's because you swing level on the high ball, and that was what Pujols does.
2-1 to Rolen. A little bit surprising to look out at the Mets bullpen right now and see Darren Oliver loosening up in the 3rd inning.
That is surprising. That's fast.
Yeah, but I think managers, no matter who you are, they don't mind you getting hit if you got the lead. When you walk people, sometimes they'll make a change.
Rolen hits one off the end of the bat to left, and Chavez is there. That ends the inning. But a damaging one for Trachsel as walks set up the inning for the Cardinals, and Pujols took advantage by driving in a pair to cut the Met lead in half.
When the clock hits 0 on the Jets, Sportsnet New York is the place to go for Jets postgame live. Immediately after every Jets game this season, SNY goes live with analysis and complete reaction from Gang Green. Jets postgame live only on Sportsnet New York.
Get some New York sports here.
Well, you may have heard that this September the WB11 is changing into the new CW11. So what does that mean to fans of the WB11 news? Well, the name of the station may be changing, but the CW11 will still be the place to find your favorite news shows in the morning and at night. We go to the bottom of the 3rd. Chris Woodward leading off, and look who's joining us in the booth. Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith. How are you, Ozzie?
All right. Gary, how you doing?
Nice to see you.
And Chitty Beat,
former teammate.
Yes, indeed.
Too tall for Rolen, who's been catching everything else tonight. Woodward has himself his 2nd hit.
You guys having some fun here this year, huh?
It has been an extraordinary year for the Mets. There's no question about it.
It's great. I mean, it's great for baseball. I've had fun watching. You know, people always ask me, especially about Reyes, the shortstop, you know, and it's been fun watching him.
You're the best shortstop I've ever seen. Sorry. I mean, Jose Reyes has played a terrific shortstop, but this man right here can pick it.
This right. You know what I was telling people today? I've been doing this all day, and we talked about teams in the 80s and everything. We talk about first baseman. You know, it's easy to play shortstop when you know, Gary, that all you have to do is get the ball in the vicinity. This guy right here was the best bar none, and he was the best at charging the ball and throwing to other bases. There are a lot of guys that are afraid to charge the ball and throw to other bases. This guy had no fear, and it made it fun, and it was like having an extra infielder on the field.
Well, now that we're praising each other here.
Yeah.
And all
due praise. Let's not pretend that anybody's blowing smoke here.
Right.
I can say one thing. Ozzie hardly ever threw me a bad throw. And how many years we played together? 2, 3?
3 years.
He was always, his throws were right there, and always by a step or a half step. He just knew how hard to throw it. It was incredible.
Now, you guys are the best first baseman and shortstop I've ever seen. So, if you had to choose a second baseman and third baseman to play on your all Gold Glove infield, who would you guys choose?
Oh,
that's a tough one.
That's a toughie.
That's a tough.
Although, you know, the team that we had in 1982, the infield that we had in 1982 was pretty good. We had Tommy Hurd at second base and Kenny Oberfeld at third base, and you know that was a pretty tough infield to get a ball through. You know, fundamentally, guys were very, very good. We were very consistent at making the routine play every day, and I think that over the long haul of the season is what has allowed us to win more than we lost.
I always felt that Tommy Hurd was very underrated as a second baseman. I thought he was really a fine fielder.
Belliard strikes out for the first out. So Mulder has his first strikeout of the night. There's a look at Ozzie in action.
Whoa, was that me?
Oh my goodness! Look out, Willie.
That was Kurt Ford.
Was it Kurt?
Yeah,
okay.
Kurt.
Now, you started out in San Diego playing on grass,
right,
and then really solidified your reputation playing on AstroTurf in St. Louis. Which did you prefer?
You know, it really didn't matter because I felt it was just like hitting. You know, if you learn to hit line drives, you can play anywhere. And fielding was the same way. Now, it was a little bit faster, of course, playing on turf. So what that allowed me to do was play back a little deeper and cut across. So it didn't really matter. I know I had to work a little bit harder playing on AstroTurf. You had to work on your legs a little bit harder playing on AstroTurf as opposed to regular grass, but it didn't matter.
Ozzie, fill us in on what you're touring around talking about right now.
Hometown Heroes. Hometown Heroes is a program that was put together by DHL and Major League Baseball that engages the fans. It allows the fans, it highlights the legacy of the game, and it allows fans the opportunity to vote for 30 of the greatest players in the history of each of the 30 Major League Baseball franchises. This panel was put together by the commissioner.
As Trachsel moves the runners with the bunt.
It was put together by the commissioner and the 30 Major League Baseball teams, and they selected players from the past and present, 5 players from the past and present. That gives the fans the opportunity to vote for the guy that they think best represents a hometown hero. You take the Yankees, for instance. They didn't have any contemporary players on their list because they're such a storied franchise. And if I was putting this list together, then I probably wouldn't have had any contemporary players on there because, of course, in this day and age of electronic media and kids on the internet and all of that stuff, you know, those guys are going to garner a lot of votes. But I think this hometown hero is a guy that has been with an organization, spent the majority of his time in baseball with one organization. And as you know, in this day and time, guys move around a lot.
So it's not just the best player you're looking for, it's a guy with longevity, ties to the community and the franchise.
To the community. And people can vote from now until September 17th. On www.mlb.com, or they can go to one of the 2,000 DHL shipping locations or any of the 30 Major League ballparks.
Reyes already 2 for 2, and he fouls it away. Well, I've got the ballot in front of me, and I'm looking at the 5 candidates for the Mets. We got John Franco, Tug McGraw, Mike Piazza, Tom Seaver, and Darryl Strawberry. And you know, just the selection of those 5, you could start an argument about guys who were left off.
Here we go, and that's what we have here. We have the opportunity for fans to actually write in the guy that they felt was left off of the ballot. And part of the program, the reason for the program was to get people to debate. There's nothing greater than a baseball debate about amongst baseball fans about who they think is the best.
Well, certainly the guy sitting to your right, I think
there you go.
I would put him on the ballot.
There you go. And what you do is you just write him in. You can write him in. And that's what the program's all about. It's about getting people involved and getting fans to thinking and debating about who they think is the best.
Who's on the Cardinals here? I'm curious. Let's see.
Okay.
Lou. Okay, yes. Gibby. Stan, of course.
Okay.
Wiz, you're on here.
Yeah, I'm on there.
Did you make sure you were on there?
No, I didn't. I didn't have anything to do with it. Didn't have anything to do with it. And I wouldn't vote for myself. If I had to vote, and I tell people, I've been telling people this all day, that I used to catch the bus out to Dodger Stadium and watch the hookup between Bob Gibson and Sandy Koufax,
right,
Drysdale. And so I'd vote for Bob Gibson.
I think it's a great 5 selection right there for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
It's a tough call.
That's the story to a franchise in the National League.
Right.
3-2 to Reyes with 2 in scoring position. And he hits one to deep left. Duncan back on the warning track near the wall. It's out of here. Jose Reyes with a 3-run homer, his 15th of the year. 7-2 New York.
Yeah, look at that, man. These shortstop these days, boys, I tell you. They're pumping them out, aren't they?
Well, Jose is such a much better right-hand hitter. The natural right-hand hitter. With you, I felt a better right-hand hitter.
Yeah.
You had more pop right-handed.
Until I hurt my shoulder and
oh my goodness.
That was a deal there. It'd be tough for me to remember all of that.
The dance steps have gotten a lot more complicated. LaDuca lifts one to left, and Duncan should have a play here. That ends the inning. And our thanks to Ozzie Smith. Ozzie, it was great of you to stop by.
Oh, Gary, thank you. Chitty Beep, always a pleasure.
Liz, great to see you.
Right, man. All right. Thank you.
The Mets extend their lead on Jose Reyes' 15th home run of the year. He got robbed a couple of times last night. He hit that one where no one could rob it.
Bring a group to Shea. Watch the Mets with family, friends, or community organizations. Choose ballpark seating or a hospitality option like the picnic area. For a full calendar of special events, including fundraisers, call 718-507-TIXX to book your group now.
Inspired by a true story. His name is Vince Papale.
Philadelphia Eagles will hold open tryouts.
And this Friday,
even if you're down there for 1 hour, you're down there.
One man's extraordinary journey is about to begin. Invincible. Friday. Rated PG.
As we go to the bottom of the 4th, let's answer our Aflac trivia question. Today is Julio Franco's 48th birthday. That's a lot of candles. Who's the 2nd oldest active player? It is Roger Clemens.
Wow, finally got one right. That's good.
44 in cooking. Well, this booth is just packed with celebrity tonight because we just had the Wizard here, and now we have the mayor. No, not Sean Casey, the real mayor.
Yeah, but the mayor doesn't think that 40 years old or 44 years old is very old.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're entering that company. Mayor Bloomberg, how are you?
Good, thank you, and happy to be here. And it's yeah, it's a great night for baseball, and you got the Mets on fire this year. It's wonderful for New York. And, you know, what I'd love to see is a Subway Series. I think that'd be fantastic.
It certainly would. What does it mean to the city to have 2 ball clubs succeeding the way the Mets and Yankees are right now?
Well, the economics are good. People come, people spend money, but the real important thing is that people feel good. Everybody likes to root for something, to have a spirit. That's why investing money in baseball stadiums and ballparks or in arenas for hockey and basketball, those things are generally good investments for the city.
Well, nothing better, of course, than for the New York baseball fans, because both teams are getting wonderful new ballparks.
Well, I was at the groundbreaking for the Yankees, and it was exciting. And sometime next month, we'll have a groundbreaking for the ballpark here. And, you know, these are just wonderful things. And they're great deals for the city because it's the owners that are putting in most of the money, and the city puts in some money for infrastructure kinds of things, a new train station or roads, that kind of stuff.
And that has really changed over the years. I mean, it used to be that cities would pony up most, if not all, of the funds necessary. And cities, especially here in New York, have really moved away from that, haven't they?
We've moved away from it. When I came into office, we just didn't have the money. You can't do everything. And we need new schools. The average school in this city is over 62 years old. We need to invest in a new water tunnel and bridges and roads and all of that kind of stuff. And you just don't have the money for this. But when you get the owners who have great franchises and they're great New Yorkers, they put up the dough for the stadium, and then we put up a little bit of money for what goes on around it. And the state did its part, too. So it's partly city money, partly state money, and the biggest chunk private money.
What's your vision of what this area is going to look like when the new stadium is built?
You know, I think the new stadiums, both this one, they would like to call it a ballpark rather than a stadium because it is smaller, it is more compact. I love the Cyclone Stadium in Brooklyn because you feel like you're down on the field no matter what seat you're in, and it's open, and that's what a ballpark to me should be. I've always thought that Camden Yards is a great ballpark. It's something classy about the old, and here the Mets are trying to bring back memories, and the Yankees are bringing back memories. And baseball is a game of statistics and history and culture. not just athleticism. We love this ability out there on the field, but it's what we did before and who else did it and how many did they do it.
There's some of the beautiful renderings of the new stadium here with that Ebbets Field style rotunda. Did you ever, you were a Boston guy growing up, but
I grew up in Boston. I don't remember it being in Ebbets Field. We saw pictures of it. I came here in '66.
And Beltran with a sparkling play to right Encarnacion, 2 out.
See, and I think all of us think that we could be Beltran and make that catch.
Not me.
Well, I know not me, but I could dream.
Ronnie could have done that.
No, I couldn't have done that either.
Let me ask you something. How much better are athletes today than your generation or the one before that?
Well, I think they're stronger today. I think they might be more athletic than especially baseball players. But as far as the instincts and knowing the game of baseball, not always better.
Right.
I think some of the older players like Hernandez, Keith Hernandez, Ozzie Smith, who was in here, the intricacies of the game, they knew very well.
Well, Al Light is a friend of mine, and I've been to baseball games here and at Yankee Stadium with him. And just listening to him, what's going to happen with each pitch and what he thought about this hitter when he faced him. And it was just fascinating to me. It's as close as I've ever really gotten to the game.
Well, Mayor Bloomberg, thanks very much for joining us. We'll remind everybody to take mass transit when the U.S. Open is in town.
Absolutely. We've got to do that. There's just not enough parking anymore. And the tennis is going to be fantastic. The Mets everybody wants to go to. So please, if you take the train to the stadium, it's going to be easier for you and for everybody else.
I'm Brian Custer. Coming up on Geico Sports Tonight, the Mets look for their 6th straight, and the newest member of the Jets already finds himself in the middle of a controversy. Check out Geico Sports Tonight every night at 6, 10, and 1 a.m.
Bottom of the 4th, and Carlos Beltran leads off. Any more celebrities in here? Oh no, Keith's coming back. There you go.
The biggest celebrity, of course.
As the strike, 1-1. Well, we have the Beatles tribute band here tonight.
That's right.
It's the 40th anniversary of the Beatles' second and final Shea Stadium concert. Everybody remembers the first one in '65, but they played here again in August of '66. One of their last ever public concerts.
I don't know what that means if they decided never to play again after that one.
Well, it was, I was too young to have been here, but from all indications, nobody heard a whole lot of music at those concerts. A lot of high-pitched screams, though. 3-1 to Beltran, who's 0 for 1 tonight. And he takes ball 4, second time he's walked. Tony La Russa on the phone looking for help. Mets fans, save your stubs. Mets Steiner's Collectibles will frame your ticket stub from any Mets game along with a piece of Shea Stadium. Call 888-769-METS to find out how.
That was the quickest half inning in history.
Did you have something going on when you interrupted?
Oh, I hardly sat down. The inning was over.
Do you at least have some ice cream?
I had some peanuts.
Okay. You take the little, wrapper off the peanut before you eat it?
What wrapper? It's in a shell.
Well, when you open the shell, it's got the little brown thing.
Oh, the inside, the little cover.
Do you eat that or not?
Oh, of course I do.
Okay, watch out because it can get stuck in your throat. I'm warning you, it's happened to me. 1-1 to Delgado. Now I'm going to make yourself conscious.
No, I might have the pipes to handle that.
Broadcasting veteran Keith Hernandez says. Infield overshift on as Beltran takes his lead. Delgado to left center, dunking over. He can't get it. Beltran to third. And Delgado's got his second double of the night. Well, Chris Duncan made one extraordinary play last night, and now he's made 2 in this series that haven't been so great.
Well, he's not a speedy guy. So this ball could have been a speedy outfielder out there. He makes the play. So you lose a little defense there, and Beltran runs the bases so well. He's right there in a position to move. He maybe could have been a little closer to second base.
I think if Duncan takes a little deeper angle to that ball, he's got a better chance.
I think he was fooled. As soon as it was hit off the bat, I think he thought there was a place that ball was going to come down. It kind of drifted on it a little bit. And once you start drifting, if you don't have a lot of that breakaway speed, you can never make it up.
Well, that's going to be all for Mark Mulder. The goal was to get Mulder work. He got his work tonight. 78 pitches in 3 innings plus. But it appears at this point that Tony La Russa feels he's had enough work.
Well, he's chatting with him right now.
Josh Hancock is the right-hander up in the bullpen, and he'll be coming in. So Mulder, first start back from the disabled list, not a pleasant one as the Mets beat him up tonight for 7 runs and maybe more.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Sterling METS and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Sterling METS.
Well, 1964 in Tribute is the name of the Beatles band. It's hanging out in the dream seats tonight and entertaining the crowd between innings. We had a Polish band here before the game.
And they were wonderful. That guy in the accordion was awesome. Oh.
It's an interesting juxtaposition, you know, having the Polish band here and the Beatles tribute band on the same night. That's with a chance to add to their lead as Josh Hancock takes over the pitching. David Wright has walked and hit into a fielder's choice. And Hancock starts him off with a strike, 0-1. Beltran at third, Delgado at second, and nobody out. Mets already with a 7-2 lead as they chase Mark Mulder after 3 innings plus. Hancock misses inside with the fastball.
He got a little weird arm action, doesn't he, Ron?
He does. He has a long arm action. He almost takes the ball out of the glove and reaches as far back as he can. That allows him to sink that ball, and his best pitch is his slider. 2-pitch pitcher.
It's been very effective for the Cardinals this year. He kind of fell into their lap this spring. And Wright lifts one down the line. That may stay fair, and it does. It'll bring home 2 more runs. Beltran and Delgado are in. David Wright snaps an 0 for 12 with a 2-run double, and it's 9-2 New York.
Well, a hanging slider, not really. It's not even a strike. It's down and out of the strikes, down in the strike zone. Maybe didn't get it away enough.
The second baseman, Chris Woodward.
And Delgado with the good read right there.
And so Mark Mulder, who was charged with 9 runs in his last start before he went on the disabled list, gives up 9 tonight as Woodward hits one to right. Tagging at second is David Wright, and he'll easily go to third. That's the first out that Woodward's made tonight.
Well, it's a fly ball here. Get a little crazy. Ball too much in the air, but it's all right. Plenty of time to recover.
So 1 out. Now Millage will try and get him in from third. What were the odds that Mark Mulder would have consecutive starts, albeit spaced 2 months apart, in which he gave up 9 earned runs in each one?
Not a very good chance at all. We're talking about one of the premier pitchers in the league the last 5 years. He's just obviously he's hurt.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
And it really makes you wonder as Millage swings over the slider. It makes you wonder whether the Cardinals are better served trying to get him back or better served to have him have the surgery he needs to get him healthy for next year.
Or rehabilitation, whatever it takes to get him better. Yes.
Infield in for Millage. Up the middle, base hit.
That'll bring home right with the third run of the inning, and it's 10-2 New York. 18th run batted in for Lasting's Millage.
Well, I didn't answer your question, Gary. My answer would be this. I think you trot him out there for one, maybe two more starts. And if it doesn't get better, he completely shut him down, because here's a guy that's one of the main parts of your rotation, if not the main part, right behind Carpenter.
Here's Andy Chavez, who's been aboard twice with a walk and a single, and he slashes one foul. And the other part of that equation is the Cardinals are not a lock to be in the postseason. They can't really afford to be messing around with a guy who's struggling as badly as Mulder is right now. The Cardinals, with the Reds losing this afternoon, are a game and a half in front, and Cincinnati's only a game and a half in front on the wild card. So the Cardinals are only 3 games into a playoff berth right now. That's a very slim margin. The question, of course, is who do they replace him with if Mulder's not available for the long term this year? 1-2 to Chavez.
Well, they know Adam Wainwright, who's in their bullpen. They would love to have him be a starter next year, and have even said so, that he will be a starter. But you certainly can't trot him out there now after he's been in the bullpen all year.
Well, the Cardinals have made a lot of changes since the last time the Mets saw him. Injuries to Edmonds and Eckstein. They've picked up Ron Belliard. They've picked up Preston Wilson. They've picked up Jose Vizcaino, all in the lineup tonight.
Chavez hits one to deep right center. Wilson back. He won't get it. Hops over the wall for a ground rule double. And so Millage will have to stop at third. And Chavez is 2 for 2. And the Mets are all hitting tonight.
Well, it's getting ugly right now. Fastball in. Nice hitting by Chavez. Belt high fastball. Turned right on it.
The pitcher, Steve Trachsel.
And Preston Wilson just got caught playing a little bit too shallow.
Kind of pulled those hands in, didn't he, Keith? And was able to still put a lot of power on that, hitting over Wilson's head.
There's some balls that dropped here tonight that should have been caught.
Infield in for Trachsel, and he takes ball 1. Well, Andy Chavez's at bats may be shrinking soon with the arrival of Sean Green tomorrow, but Andy has done nothing to prove he doesn't deserve to play, and play a lot.
I think that there's going to be a platoon situation out there in left field.
Well, until Floyd gets back.
When Floyd gets back, there's some decision to make.
I mean,
it's no guarantee, no lock that Cliff's going to play against left-handers. So then it comes on Millage.
Right. But for Chavez, with the 2 left-hand hitting corner outfielders in Floyd and Green, once Floyd's healthy, it'll be tough for him to get at bats, you'd think.
Although remember, he got a start tonight against Mulder, the left-hander.
1-2 to Trachsel.
So Willie's not afraid to use him against the left-hander. He has a lot of weapons still. Ability to put the ball on the ground as a bunt.
He'll get a lot of late innings defensive too.
Yes.
Defensively, with Floyd with the bad Achilles, he'll be playing a lot late substitutions in there for defense and tight ball games.
No question. 1-2 to Trachsel. That's with 4 in the first, 3 in the third, and 3 here in the fourth. The Mets have not won a series from the Cardinals since 2002.
Wow.
They've lost all 8 series against the Cardinals since then, including one this year, and they can clinch a series win with a win tonight. And they're pretty much on their way, 2-2.
Well, obviously tonight Hancock cannot get his breaking ball over. And when you're on the bench watching, as all the hitters should be, you should put that in the back of your head that he's struggling with his command of his slider. And get ahead.
Not been a pretty night for La Russa to watch after blowing a 6-run lead last night. And Trachsel staying in there. records against winning teams. The Padres surprisingly have the best, and the Mets right behind them. The Cardinals have struggled against winning teams. Not all that many of them in the National League. And Trachsel goes down, and Molina will toss to first to complete the putout. That's the second out. So 2 away, and now Reyes, 4th inning, his 4th at bat. That's when you're having a good night. Whoa. And he is. 2 singles, a 3-run homer. His 15th of the year. He now has 65 RBIs. He now has 101 runs scored. He has a stolen base tonight, his 51st. Oh, and also he now has 150 hits. What a season. And you know, as we watch Reyes on his bunt hit from the right side.
Oh, he led up too. In the end, he knew he had it. Oh, so that's not an accurate count.
He could have broke 3.5 there.
Yes.
Wow.
That is moving. 2-0. You know, we've talked a lot about the MVP race in this series, and we talk about the power guys most of the time. But it's not a lock that a power guy wins an MVP. And you have to at least consider Reyes in that discussion, don't you?
I think you have to include him in that discussion, but does that, including him in that discussion, take away from Beltran?
To right center, Wilson with a sliding play. And Reyes was almost 4 for 4, but Preston Wilson took one away. Another productive inning for the Mets as they tack on 3 more. Wilson with the grab to deny Reyes a 4th hit.
Get off the couch and into an even more comfortable seat at Shea. Sunday, August 27th is Mets Seat Cushion Day, presented by Lincoln Mercury. For your printed home tickets to see the Mets host the Phillies, go to Mets.com.
Get your Mets season ticket pack to guarantee your seats for all 15 September home games and secure a ticket purchase option for all 2006 postseason games at Shea. Go to Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX to get your season ticket pack now. Steve Trachsel with a 10-2 lead. And the first man up against him, Yadier Molina, in the 5th inning, lines a base hit. Only the 3rd hit given up by Trachsel. Every year it seems there's one guy on every staff who gets all the runs and one guy on every staff who gets no runs.
The pitcher, Josh
Hancock. You look at the Lincoln Mercury starting pitching line, not good for Mulder, good enough for Trachsel.
Yeah, that is true. There's also a guy that always gets the rain games.
Well, Trachsel's gotten rain and runs. And bunted foul by Hancock. Trachsel was 12-5. He lost a 4.5 inning game to the Phillies, in which the Mets got shut out. He also lost the 1-0 game to the Cardinals in St. Louis. So he's had a couple of games where the Mets didn't score for him, but for the most part, he has been a run maker.
Well, he's 3 outs away. I think a pretty good odds are pretty much with him to become the first 13-game winner in the National League. Penny's got 13, right?
Yeah, a bunch of pitchers have 13, but nobody has more than 13.
He joins the league lead.
Yes.
We were talking about MVPs, and so we decided to look it up. You mentioned, Keith, Maury Wills.
Yes.
1962, won the MVP for the Dodgers. And by the way, they didn't win the pennant that year.
That's the year he stole 100 bases, right?
104.
104 set the record, which would later be beaten by Lou Brock and then by Ricky Henderson. 1 and 2 to Hancock. But there have been a few others. Let's look them down the list. Barry Larkin with the Reds in '95. Certainly not a big power hitter. That Hernandez guy in St. Louis. How many home runs he hit that year? 79.
11, I think.
How many doubles?
48. that led the majors. Thank you.
LaDuca makes the play on Hancock's sacrifice.
Had 11 triples. Wow.
See, if you'd hit a few more home runs, you would have won it outright.
I hear you.
Not a bad man to share it with.
That's exactly right. Willie Stargell.
That'll be trivia when I'm long gone. I'll be not forgotten.
The only players ever to tie for an MVP.
There's many.
Yes. I don't think it's ever going to happen again, Gary.
There's many things that make you immortal, by the way.
Well,
it's just one of them.
Others who were not big home run hitters who've won MVPs. Ichiro with the Mariners in 01. Ricky Henderson, although he usually hit his 25. But Ricky won it in 1990 with Oakland. Vizcaino fouls it off.
You know, it'd be quite a stretch, but Reyes is on a pace to maybe get to 20 triples, to get to 20 home runs. It's well over that in doubles.
Going to get a good shot for 200 hits.
200 hits.
Maybe 130 runs scored, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Maybe 80 RBIs if he gets hot.
I mean, it doesn't match up with Beltran probably hitting 40+ home runs. But certainly, if you look at this team and his value to it, and that's what it is, it's the most valuable player, you could certainly make the argument.
Agreed.
I agree with you 100%. It's a very good point you brought up.
Vizcaino loops one. Long run, right, won't get there. 1-2. I guess what generally happens, and this is true of, we were talking before about players who are not on winning teams who've won MVPs, the Andre Dawsons, the A-Rods. Relief pitchers who've won MVPs like Willie Hernandez with the Tigers. I think generally people look to the dominant power hitters first, but if there's not a guy having a standout year, then they start to look elsewhere.
Dale Murphy, he won a couple MVPs at teams that didn't win.
2-2 to Vizcaino.
How about for the Dodgers, 1988? Kirk Gibson, I think he had what, 78 RBIs?
Right. Well, Strawberry and McReynolds split the vote that year.
Absolutely.
And that's what you were talking about before. If Reyes' candidacy goes up, then Beltran's maybe comes down.
Yes.
I mean, look at 86. I mean, you guys were the dominant team in the league, but didn't have the MVP. That's been true of the Yankees in some of their big years when they've dominated the American League.
I think Gary Carter would have won the MVP in '86, Gary. He drove in 100 runs whenever he got hurt. He missed around a month of the season. I think Gary would have won the MVP if he had stayed healthy all year.
3-2 to Vizcaino, and he pulls it foul.
But he got hurt, and it didn't happen.
Sometimes guys getting hurt can help them. Remember Jeff Bagwell in 1994 got hurt, then came the strike, and so he won the MVP. Who knows what would have happened the last 6 weeks of the season if there'd been a last 6 weeks of the season. Vizcaino with a long turn at bat extending Trachsel. Steve's pitch count is very reasonable here in the 5th inning. That's a nice number in the 5th. That's what we'll be throwing Dave Williams for his 2nd start tomorrow night. And Vizcaino hits one deep to right field, back toward the corner, and that ball is out of here. Jose Vizcaino, in his first game as a St. Louis Cardinal, hits a home run, only his 2nd of the season. And Walt Jocketty's feeling like a genius. That's why I signed that guy. He walked into the clubhouse 2 hours before the game, introduced himself, put on his uniform, and the former Met Vizcaino has himself a 2-run homer to make it 10-4.
Well, you know, it's a long at bat. It's a 10-2 ball game. It's like, here, fastball, hit it. If that's Vizcaino, not a power hitter by any stretch of the imagination, and he got it.
There's Chris Duncan, and he waves at the curveball.
Well, just a fastball belt high down Broadway. I mean, he hit it.
Vizcaino has never hit more than 5 home runs in any season. In fact, that's his 36th career home run. He's played 16 years in the big leagues. 0-2 to Duncan. Vizcaino played 2.5 years here in New York, 94, 95, 96. A very useful player. And he has had a long career. 1-2 to Duncan. Always a very well-liked player in the Mets clubhouse. One of those guys you like to have around. And Duncan is out looking. That's the second out. First strikeout of the night for Steve Trachsel.
The first baseman, Albert.
Well, good pitch by Trachsel. Good framing by LaDuca. That fastball away. We'll see it from up top. Yeah, I think it caught the front of that plate.
In 2006, Hyundai, the Mets, and Sportsnet New York are teaming up to strike out cancer. For every K the Mets pitching staff registers, Hyundai, the Mets, and Sportsnet New York will donate $25 to the Hope and Heroes Children's Cancer Fund. If you'd like to help, please go to www.hopeandheroes.org. Pujols fouls one away.
You know, Trachsel throws straight over the top. When you do that, it'll make you fall towards the first base side. See a little skip there to get over there. And on the fastball, stays more in there because he's trying to keep that ball on the plate. Falling off more in the curveball because you're really trying to torque that arm and body to get a little extra spin on that pitch.
Pujols drove in 2 runs with a base hit his last time up. Reyes in to grab this one, and he gets Pujols to end the inning. So Trachsel yields a 2-run homer to Jose Vizcaino, but he's through 5 with the lead, and a big lead it is. Vizcaino, though, puts a dent in it with his first home run as a Cardinal in only his 3rd at bat.
Matt Yallof here with a Chevrolet Baseball Night New York update. AL Central, White Sox and Tigers, and the Sox are trying to creep up on Detroit. Joe Creedy, number 26 on the season, 6-3 Sox in the 6th. Gary.
All right, Matt, the White Sox with a half-game lead in that wild card race over the Twins. Minnesota leading at Baltimore tonight, 4-1. A game in the 6th inning. Red Sox 4 games back. They'll be at Anaheim later tonight. Paul LaDuca leads off the 5th inning. Josh Hancock, who came on in relief of Mark Mulder, still on there in the 5th.
I saw a stat the other day. Justin Morneau and Kadire for the Twins. Morneau had 46, I believe, or 45 2-out RBIs. Kadire 43. That's getting it done. You know, when you have 2 guys on your team doing that kind of damage, those are those prolongs those rallies.
Saw former Mets general manager Joe McIlvaine, who is a scout for the Twins, here in the ballpark tonight. And he said the reason that the Twins, who don't get nearly enough credit, there's Joe, the reason the Twins have been so successful despite being in a small market and having a small budget is that they have put all of their resources into scouting. They don't have the resources to sign big money free agents, so by necessity they take what are really more cost efficient dollars and put them into scouting, and they've been blessed with an incredible farm system that keeps feeding them quality players.
I think they also have a theme throughout their minor leagues, almost like, you know, when you had great high school football teams that the Pop Warner teams play the same offense as the Duca hits this ball foul, almost permeates the entire organization. So when they get up and they're under the tutelage of Rick Anderson or Ron Gardenhire, the manager, that they know exactly what to expect and what they have to do to be a winning ball player for the Twins.
And they've also had great stability. What, they've had 2 managers in the last 20 years?
Yeah.
Tom Kelly and Ron Gardenhire. I mean, that's just invaluable, much like the Braves. And LaDuca can't hold up. Hancock has his 2nd strikeout.
Up the ladder here. LaDuca can't hold up. You saw the catcher, Yadier Molina, give the high sign with the high target.
Only the 27th time LaDuca has struck out in 399 at bats. Well, here's Beltran, who's walked twice, scored a couple of runs. He's now scored 97 runs. Reyes with 101. Mets might well have 2 guys score 100 runs and 3 guys drive in 100 runs. Wright is up to 90 RBIs with his 2 tonight. Delgado has 86. And Beltran with 103. 2-0 to Beltran. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez, Ozzie Smith, Mayor Bloomberg, Chris Connor, and a cast of thousands with you from Shea Stadium.
The Beatles.
That's right. We got the Beatles. We got the Polish band.
Keith's accordion player.
Oh, we had President Clinton last night too.
Are those guys signing autographs? And when they sign autographs, whose autograph do they sign as a tribute band? Our producer Greg Picker tells us that we have a big Beatles surprise coming up. He's not telling us what it is, only that there's a surprise in the offing. I don't think it's Paul and Ringo coming out to play with the tribute band.
No.
But I'm sure it's good, whatever it is.
So don't go channel surfing. Stay with us.
Channel surfing, what's that? 1-2 to Beltran. And he gets under one to right field. Preston Wilson, his easiest play of the night. He's had a couple of tough ones. 2 out. So 2 out and nobody on. We check out the Hyundai in-game box score. Lots of big numbers there. Jose Reyes 3 for 4, including a 3-run homer. Chris Woodward had the opening statement, a 3-run double in the first inning. Andy Chavez has been on base 3 times in a row. David Wright breaking out with a big 2-run double. So everybody's had a hand in this one, including Carlos Delgado, who has a pair of doubles tonight and has driven in a run. And takes a strike from Hancock. Mark Mulder lasted 3 innings plus, allowed 9 runs and 9 hits in his first start off the disabled list, and Hancock pitching in long relief. One and 1 to Delgado. Carlos over the last 6 games, 11 for 21, 5 homers, 12 RBIs in 6 games. That's breaking out.
I just marvel at the hitters when they do break out, good hitters, how they do not swing at those bad pitches, take the ones just off the corner, and get into their hitters' counts.
To dead center field, Encarnacion back, and he tracks it down, side retired. So another ball hit well by Delgado, this one resulting in an out, and the Mets are out 1-2-3 for the first time tonight. Beatlemania.
Take the train to the game. Mass Transit's your best way to Shea. 7 Subway, Long Island Railroad, Woodside Connection. Connections to Metro North and New Jersey Transit. Mass Transit is easier and faster. Get on board at Mets.com.
6th inning at Shea, the Mets with a 6-run lead. Last night they overcame a 6-run deficit. But Steve Trachsel working with the lead, trying for his 13th win as Scott Rolen leads off for the Cardinals. Rolen's been up twice, flied out both times. He is now 0 for his last 13. It'll be Rolen, then Preston Wilson, and Juan Encarnacion for the Cardinals. Without Jim Edmonds, this is a very right-handed team. To deep left, back goes Chavez at the wall, leaps, but he can't get it. Home run for Rolen, his 19th of the year. And he gave it a good effort and just came up empty. And now the Met lead is 10-5.
The right fielder, Preston Wilson.
High fastball here. Belt high out over the plate. Boy, wanted to get it in and didn't get in enough. And Chavez makes a valiant effort, but comes up short. Not by much, huh?
Those are some good ups.
Yes.
But he needed a little more height.
Boy, you're a hitter right there. And you're about rounding first. You're going, get out of here.
Get up.
Don't you do that to me.
But the key to that, isn't it, is getting to the wall in time to poise yourself for your best jump.
Yes.
And Endy did that. I see him check the wall. He knows exactly where he is. It's just 3 inches.
To right center field and deep off the bat of Preston Wilson. Millage back near the wall, and it's out of here. Back-to-back home runs for Rolen and Wilson, and now it's 10-6. And the wheels starting to come off for Steve Trachsel. It was 10-2, but in a space of 5 batters, Trachsel's allowed 3 home runs. And Darren Oliver quick to work.
Ball seems to be carrying tonight. Reyes' home run early went over the grandstand. This one he got beat inside a little bit, and that's 396 right there, Ron.
Yeah, it almost like he inside outed it, but he got that underspin, and that ball just carried out, like you said. Ball carrying tonight. Trachsel can't believe it.
Preston Wilson's 11th of the year, his 2nd with the Cardinals. And Rick Peterson is buying some time in the bullpen. Roberto Hernandez gets up with Oliver.
You know what I was going to say, though, is that you got to really play mind games for yourself when you're a pitcher in these kind of games, because you tend to think that, you know, if I'm not aggressive with this big lead and not throwing the ball in there when I got a 1-0 count, then, you know, I'm being less of a man if I'm not doing that. That's not what it's about. It's about still executing your pitches. The Cardinals have a dangerous lineup too, albeit more right-handed, but they can come back in a hurry, especially when they got that big bopper Pujols in the middle of that lineup.
Well, this is not that kind of game anymore. Here's Encarnacion. It's only the 6th inning with nobody out, and what was a 10-2 lead is now a 10-6 lead. Popped up by Encarnacion coming back. Jorge Sosa, the former Atlanta Brave, up in the Cardinal bullpen.
Won 13 games for them last year as a starter.
And was simply awful this year.
Couldn't throw a strike.
Now, Sosa said last year that the key to his success was Leo Mazzoni. Now, the question is, did he psych himself out when Leo left so that it cost him the success that he had? Three and 1 to Encarnacion, and Trachsel is not long for this game.
Well,
he doesn't throw a strike soon.
If Leo Mazzoni was the guy that changed him around, then he doesn't have a lot of retention skills, because if he did turn him around, just repeat the things you did last year.
3-2. Let's see if Dave Duncan can get him righted with St. Louis. Certainly the talent's there. He showed that last year. And Encarnacion takes ball 4. He didn't know it, but Joe West, I think, is going to send him down to first base. Joe just took off his mask and said, that's 4. You get that one free.
Most times you see a hitter. That's the first time I've ever seen a hitter
not walk.
Not walk.
Right?
It's always the, you know, you think you're walked. Yeah. And the umpire's got to call you back.
That's Ed Rapuano down at first base.
Good joke. You can go.
It's all yours, kid. Well, maybe after back-to-back home runs, Encarnacion had something bigger than a walk in mind. Well, here's Belliard. And at this point, a little surprising to see Trachsel still in this game.
2 innings ago, he would never thrown to first after a walk. Now has to, because the game has changed.
And Willie moving to that top step, and that's it. So after thinking about it, and perhaps getting a few extra pitches for the guys in the bullpen, Willie will bring in Roberto Hernandez to replace Trachsel. So Trachsel leaves with the lead. He had been pitching very well his last few starts. Didn't pitch great tonight, but this was one of those nights when Trachsel got a ton of runs, and he hopes it's enough to get him his 13th win. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon Wireless. Switch to the most reliable network, Verizon Wireless. Tribute band with who's that special guest? Pete Best?
A day in the life of Chris Carter.
You notice they're keeping him away from the microphone.
Oh, there he goes, a little harmony.
That was a half inning ago, and well, it looks like all those years of air guitar paid off.
Oh, he's picking it.
Chris, that was quite a performance.
Oh, thank you very much. No, I'm glad these guys, 1964, the tribute allowed me the opportunity to come up here and jam with them. And hopefully we'll be able to do it a little bit more throughout the rest of the night. And these guys are here promoting the 40th anniversary, August 23rd, the last time the Beatles played a concert here at Shea Stadium. It was a monumental event. And this is an unbelievable band. They sound just like the Beatles. They'll be playing Carnegie Hall for the 7th time on January 27th, and I'll allow them to introduce themselves. We'll start over here with John, a.k.a.
Hello, my name is Mark Benson, and I play John Lennon.
And George, a.k.a.
Tom Work from Ohio.
Ohio, Great Britain. And Paul.
I'm Gary Grimes. Thank you.
And finally, Ringo.
I'm Terry Manfredi, and I play Paul. I thought I played Paul. No, I play Ringo.
Not tonight, Ringo.
Now, and I play Pete Best, the 5th Beatle. Now, Paul, I'll ask you, what is the website? How do people get tickets for this event at Carnegie on January 27th?
We're actually going back to Carnegie Hall on the 27th of January 2007. Tickets should go on sale tomorrow morning if you want to call Carnegie Hall, box office, or the website is www.carnegiehall.org, or come to our site, which is 1964thetribute.com, and you can grab tickets. But starting tomorrow, we're expecting another sellout, so come out and make the call, all right?
All right, thank you, Paul. There you have it, hot shot right there. David Wright, double play to Carlos Delgado. So now 2 down here in the top half of the 6th. Gary, take it away.
All right, Chris, thanks.
Every time Chris goes on, he gets a tough play-by-play call.
Well, Roberto Hernandez comes in, gives him a bullet that turns into 2 outs.
Well, very fortuitous right there for the Mets, because this is a 10-6 ball game now.
I always thought Murray the K was the 5th Beatle.
Murray the K.
That would be a good role for Chris Conner to play in the tribute band.
That's right.
You can see what Bert has done this year. Picked up by the Mets from the Pirates in the Nady trade right before the deadline. Woodward on the angle, can't quite get it. Now, Woodward has made 1 sparkler tonight and had a big hit. Almost another great play.
Well, nice effort by Chris. Long way to run here. Just didn't get there in time. Tough play. Good effort.
Woodward is one of many Mets in that clubhouse who have played with Sean Green before. And Green on a conference call today was talking about one of his reasons for wanting to come here. And remember, he had to approve the trade as Molina grounds the 3rd. Is that he knew so many of the players on this team, starting with Carlos Delgado and guys like Paul LaDuca and etc. Green will join the team tomorrow. Trachsel frustrated, but the Mets with a 4-run lead. Home runs by Rolen and Wilson get the Cardinals closer, but Hernandez comes out of the bullpen to keep it where it is.
Head
Friends of Coney Island September 6th as the Brooklyn Cyclones honor alum Brian Bannister. The former Cyclone is scheduled to be on hand, and Bannister bobbleheads to the first 2,500 fans. Call 718-507-TIXX or go to brooklyncyclones.com.
Casella Express. If a Met hits a home run, one grand prize winner will win a trip anywhere in the Northeast with Amtrak Casella Express. To enter or see if you're a contestant, visit sny.tv/Amtrak today. David Wright leads off in the home 6th inning. Mets lead once 10-2, now 10-6. Wright had a 2-run double his last time up, now has 90 runs batted in. And he launches one to center field. Encarnacion drifting under it. One pitch and one out. And so Josh Hancock in relief is now retired 6 in a row. Gary Bennett takes over the catching for the Cardinals. Yadier Molina grounded out to end the top of the inning. Not sure if he's hurt or just being rested.
Taking care of his catcher right there, I think.
It's only a 4-run game. This is not a blowout.
I understand. That's a good ball. You got a 217 hitting catcher.
Yeah.
Here's Woodward. Yeah, I was thinking, watching Molina on that ground ball, he barely ran to first base. And I was just wondering whether La Russa pulled him for that reason.
Well, you have a couple of reasons there. If he's not running hard, then La Russa could take him out, except maybe he's not running hard because he's not, has a hurt leg. That would be a reason to take him out also.
Pujols catches Woodward's pop-up, and on 3 pitches, Hancock has the first 2 outs. So Josh Hancock, after stumbling when he came in the game in the 4th, has given the Cardinals some length out of the bullpen. Here's Molina on that grounder. Not exactly running.
He may have been yanked.
I mean, I don't know.
We're speculating.
So 2 out and nobody on. Here's Millage, who singled to drive in a run his last time up. 1 for 3. And that one boxed around by Bennett. It was good to hear Millage say all the right things about the impending arrival of Sean Green. He said he was happy that Green was coming and he would make the ball club better, and that's all he wants, and he just wants to be part of a winning team. One and 2 to Millage.
Those are nice things to hear, but boy, you want to be out there, especially if you're young. I think it's, he's still going to have a chance to play. Floyd's not back yet, and he still has plenty of time to show what he can do. But those at-bats are getting less and less.
And he's 21.
Yeah.
The at-bats will be there. If they're not there this September and October, they'll be there next season.
I have a hunch that he'll be traveling south this winter for a little winter ball, probably, because he lost a lot of at-bats by coming up. He would have played every day at Norfolk.
The interesting thing is going to be, if Floyd comes back healthy and Green is here, is Millage part of the postseason roster, if only for left-right balance, because the other backup outfielders you have, Chavez, Tucker, all left-handed. Now, you're probably not going to carry 6 outfielders in the postseason, although you could, because you're probably not going to carry 12 pitchers.
Yeah.
All those are questions to be answered down the road. Millage slices one off the glove of Pujols, and he'll get aboard. Wait to see how they score that.
Nope.
Error on the first baseman.
Did not get in front. Now this ball hit hard, but he played the matador here. Ole. Get in front of that ball. Pujols plays a very good first base, but he's not a real agile, quick guy. The darts and dashes, things that he can get to, he makes the play.
It's only his 5th error of the year. Remember when he first came up, Pujols was moved around.
Yes.
They played him at third. They played him in the outfield. He had elbow problems which prevented him from throwing. And eventually has found a home at first base.
And he's worked hard to make himself into a very solid first baseman. Usually has good hands. That ball, like Keith said, was hit hard. Harder it's hit, more important it is for you to shift over, right? In case it takes a bad hop, and at first base you got plenty of time if you keep it in front of you.
Great people with great range can anticipate where the pitch is going to be hit. They've already got that their body moving in the direction. They read the ball off the bat much better.
Ricky Leday out on deck to pinch hit.
We just had someone up here, Rosie Smith, that had the greatest range I've ever seen for a shortstop. I think better than Ordonez.
And that's saying a lot. Chavez lifts one to center, and Encarnacion has it lined up, and that retires the side. So Chavez retired for the first time tonight. Feliciano getting ready. Hernandez will stay in though as we go to the 7th on a beautiful night.
With his Chevrolet Baseball Night New York update, I'm Matt Yallof. Astros and Reds this afternoon, and the Astros raining on the Reds parade. Aubrey Huff pokes one through. Astros go on to a 7-3 win in Cincinnati. Back to Gary and the guys at Chev.
For the Cardinals, number 15, Jim Edmonds.
All right, Matt, and that provided an opportunity for the Cardinals to expand their lead in the National League Central. The Reds, with the loss, now just a game and a half up on the Padres, who will host the Dodgers tonight. And the Phillies still hanging around. They won their 4th in a row last night. The Phillies moved above 500 for the first time in ages, as Jamie Moyer pitched in one in his first Phillies start. Jim Edmonds pinch hitting as we go to the 7th and fouls it back. Edmonds has been sitting out with post-concussion syndrome for a little over a week. Has not started a game since then.
Playing deep. Edmonds is not a slow runner by any stretch of the imagination. Gold Glove center fielder.
His production has certainly fallen off this year, and he is that left-handed balance in the Cardinals lineup, and they need for him to be that with Pujols dominating from the right side.
Well, he's been the 1-2 punch of this lineup is Edmonds and Pujols, and you know, if you got Ruth and Garrick and you lose one of them, it's going to hurt.
Yeah, it's a nice middle of the lineup too when you got Pujols, Edmonds. Jorge Sosa still up with Bradford and Feliciano for the Mets.
Edmonds last year hit 29 home runs, drove in 89. The year before, 42 home runs, 111 RBIs. This year, 18 and 65.
Injuries, injuries, injuries.
Well, he's getting older too. Made a lot of diving catches over the years. And ball 4 to Edmonds, leading off in the 7th.
The shortstop, Jose Vizcaino.
As we check out the Jeep upcoming schedule tomorrow night, Mets and Cardinals, final game of the series. Dave Williams makes his second start for the Mets against the Staten Island native Jason Marquis. Then the weekend series with the Phillies starting on Friday night. And the Mets will hit the road to Colorado and Houston. Jose Vizcaino homered his last time up in his first game as a Cardinal.
David Wright in at the corner, respecting the drag bunt. Vizcaino, an excellent bunter.
And Hernandez behind him, 2-0. Jose Vizcaino now 38 years old. And Chris Duncan awaits next. The Cardinals were down in this game at one point, 10-2, but Vizcaino, Rolen, and Wilson have all homered to get them back in it. And now it's 3-0. So Hernandez, who got a line drive double play and a ground out when he came on in relief in the 6th, having trouble throwing strikes here in the 7th. Three and 1. It's Bert's 8th appearance with the Mets since coming over from the Pirates. The other figure in that trade, Oliver Perez, has been pitching lights out down in Norfolk his last couple of starts. And while Hernandez filled the immediate need for the Mets and was really the primary reason why they traded Xavier Nady, Perez could turn out to be the jewel in that deal.
Well, especially since Roberto's pitching a lot of these middle kind of innings. You know, when he first was acquired, you thought maybe he was insurance, I guess, if Heilman faltered in the 8th inning. Heilman has not faltered. He's flourished. So these are the innings that Roberto Hernandez is getting.
Edmonds runs. Vizcaino fouls it off. I mean, it's very much like the deal the Mets made with Baltimore. They traded Chris Benson. The guy everybody paid attention to coming back was Jorge Julio. But the jewel of the deal has turned out to be John Maine.
And Maine, and then when they sent Julio to Arizona, El Duque, 250 rotation.
Edmonds runs, and Vizcaino fouls off another one. This is how his last at bat went. Trachsel got him to 3-2. He fouled off 3 pitches and then drilled a home run. Last night was exhilarating for the Mets, battling from behind. This one has been a slog, and they had an 8-run lead. And Vizcaino fouls off another one.
For both clubs, it's been a slog, and
well, you have to give credit to the Cardinals tonight because their starting pitcher did not have it, and they've stayed in there. You know, Edmonds is not playing, so they have injuries. Vizcaino starting at shortstop. The little guys get a ball.
Much happiness.
Yes.
Much happiness. They'll never go to bed tonight. They'll be talking about that all night.
I love it.
That's 4 in a row. Vizcaino's fouled off. He's certainly getting his money's worth in his first game in a Cardinal uniform. There's some Cardinal fans. At least one of them. The Birds on the bat.
Best uniform in baseball.
Haven't won since Hernandez left.
That's right. 1982.
Don't you forget it.
Curse of the Bambino.
Curse of Hernandez.
To center field and hit well. Beltran back, and he runs it down. Well, Vizcaino showing life in his new uniform. Hit that one 400 feet, but Beltran was equal to it. One away.
The left fielder.
Well, he's
Chris
got
Duncan.
such a great, easy gait. This ball's hit to the track. He covers so much ground. I think he is a strong candidate for the Golden Glove in center field this year. It just makes it look easy, doesn't he?
That's going to be all for Hernandez. Willie Randolph out to make a double switch. Chavez made the last out in the 6th, so the pitcher's due to lead off. So Millage in the 7th spot's going to come out of the game, it looks like. Pedro Feliciano is going to come in to pitch to the left-hand hitter Duncan. So the Mets make the pitching change. Feliciano in. Michael Tucker will come in the game as well. 10-6 New York. The Mets and Cardinals playing the second game of their series on Julio Franco's 48th birthday. Chris Woodward getting into the act with a 3-run double, and Jose Reyes adding a 3-run homer. The Mets had themselves a 10-2 lead, but power from the Cardinals got them back in the ball game. Preston Wilson with a home run, Rolen and Vizcaino as well, and it's 10-6 as the Mets try and hang on to their lead here in the 7th. Michael Tucker comes in the game to play left field. He'll bat 9th. Andy Chavez moves to right as Millage comes out. So the pitcher will hit 7th, and the pitcher is Pedro Feliciano.
Well, Feliciano last night was not effective. Chad Bradford came in and saved the day, but again, look at that ERA, #1 amongst the relievers. Feliciano having a strong year this year.
He's brought in to face Chris Duncan, and almost assuredly this will be his only batter because he got all right-hand hitters to follow, beginning with Pujols. Duncan started the night with a 9-game hitting streak, 0 for 2 and a walk tonight. Edmonds at first and 1 out, and ball 1 to Duncan. Last night, Feliciano retired his first batter, then walked 2 in a row.
Well, he's hitting here to get the left-handed out.
And the crossfire fastball for a strike, 1-1. The other half of the tag team getting ready for his spot, with Pujols coming up next. You know, statistics can be deceptive sometimes. Feliciano's got the great ERA, but his rate of stranding inherited runners is not nearly as good as what Bradford has done.
Well, I think if Feliciano was to look back on the season, Chad Bradford would have a few free dinners on the road, because he's had some tough situations where Bradford has bailed him out.
Breaking ball in there for a call, strike 3. Duncan down looking, 2 men down. Now Feliciano gets his job done, and now Bradford will come on to face Pujols.
Well, the old backup slider.
Baseman, Albert Pujols.
Froze Duncan.
So Willie Randolph out to congratulate Feliciano and take the ball and hand it off to the next guy. Bradford, who got the job done against Pujols last night, will get a chance to do it again.
So, Joe, are you ready for the press?
Yeah, I can handle them. They're not so bad.
Well, you know how tough those guys can be after a game.
Yeah, Willie, but I've learned one thing over the last 10 years. You just have to give them what they want.
Hey, Joe, great job tonight. You get them next time.
Thanks for the Subway sandwich.
Hey, you're the best, Joe. You can't win them all. How'd you know? I like mine toasted.
Giving them what they want, huh, Joe?
Chad Bradford on to pick up for Feliciano.
Well, Chad Bradford last night, probably one of the biggest outs the Mets needed last night. Pujols up, a couple of runners on, comes in and throws a first pitch strike, throws a sinker in, gets a double play. Ended up getting another double play in his next inning of work. Bradford all year long, steady Eddie, ice water in his veins.
46 inherited runners, 37 stranded.
Oh, boy. Well, let's see how he pitches them. You can leave yourself open for second guess. You know, I pitched him last night, 2 pitches, 2 sinkers in. Is he going to look in? Do I want to lead him off with a slider? I mean, you can talk yourself right into anything you want here. I bet you're just going to continue to pound him in.
Mr. Met called to the sinker. Throws him a slider to start him off.
This is all the cat and mouse right here. This is the great part of the game. You know, it's not as critical a situation as it was last night. But still, a home run makes it a 2-run ball game.
Last night, the Mets were down by a run in the 7th when Bradford got the double play from Pujols. Now they have a 4-run lead. And he gets him to slam that sinker into LaDuca.
And another thing, too, Ron, you tell me if I'm wrong, is that a sinker is a hard pitch to lift. It gets under the bat. The slider, if you lead it out over the plate or even make a good slider, the good hitters might hit it out.
The key for Bradford's slider, though, that makes it difficult is how long you have to wait for it, because it can be in the low 60-mile-an-hour range.
And there's that widespread stance of Pujols, which just anchors him in. He's so balanced.
And another sinker, another foul ball, 1-2.
And that had lots of plate, and it was up.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, as we look at that crouch, it's almost like he gets himself all curled up and explodes with that power. You had a slider stance, like shoulder width.
Yes.
Pujols very tough to strike out. He's only fanned 38 times this year. Weak ground ball, Woodward in. Makes the throw to first, side retired. Bradford does it again. Gets Pujols on the grounder, strands another runner, and the Mets hang on to a 4-run lead of the 7th inning stretch.
Those muscles and sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game."
I'm Brian Custer. Coming up on Geico Sports Tonight, the Mets look for their 6th straight, and the newest member of the Jets already finds himself in the middle of a controversy. Check out Geico Sports Tonight every night at 6, 10, and 1 a.m.
The Jets and Giants.
Oh, Well, here at Shea Stadium, a spot for everybody, and everybody in their spot. To get your Sportsnet New York on the web, make your homepage SNY.TV, the online home of all things New York sports. It is also where you can submit your question to Dodge's Ask the Booth. Gene from Staten Island asks, guys, how is the team's magic number determined?
Ron, I'm never was good at math.
Okay. Here's what you do. It's very simple. You take the first place team, figure out how many games they have left, take the number of games they're ahead of the second place team in the loss column. Number of games left minus the games they're ahead in the loss column plus 1. That's why the Mets, who have 38 games left and a 14-game lead in the loss column, 38 minus 14 is 24 plus 1. Their magic number is 25.
So that's how it was done. I never knew that all these years when I played.
Did you follow that? Could you do it now? Come on.
Keith's magic number was 300. That's all he thought about. Right?
Well, that was
RBIs.
That was a start.
Ribeye steaks, yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Michael Tucker leading off, came on a double switch in the top of the inning, facing the former Atlanta Brave Jorge Sosa, who had a miserable time of it with Atlanta this year after going 13-3 last year. And the Braves finally gave up on him and shipped him over to St. Louis.
Well, he's a guy who likes to throw his fastball a lot. He's got a good fastball, but he had such severe control problems earlier this year that he just pitched from behind in the count all the time. Doesn't matter how hard you throw. When you pitch 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, you're in trouble.
Oh, even last year with the year that he had, I remember talking with Bobby Cox and Leo Mazzoni and them saying that he pitched out of so many jams that he got himself into.
And Tucker goes down looking to start the inning, 1 away.
So you're living on the edge. You know, you can't.
The shortstop
Just got caught looking for a something besides a fastball.
The Mets conclude their series with Albert Pujols and the Cardinals tomorrow at 7:10 p.m. Then be at Shea Friday at 7:10 for the start of the weekend series with the Phillies. Go to Mets.com now for your print-at-home tickets. Mets tonight are trying to win their 10th straight home game. And their 6th in a row overall. The longest home winning streak they've ever had is 11. They've done that on 4 different occasions. Reyes a big part of it tonight, 3 for 4, including a 3-run homer. That was back in the 3rd.
Well, he got a pitch inner half of the plate and down, and this is over the bleachers. It's a bomb.
We've seen a couple. The one left-handed in Philadelphia was a bomb.
2-1 to Reyes.
Which tells you what, as he gets older, as he gets stronger, you're going to see many more of those.
I'd be inclined to agree with you, Ronnie.
I mean, when you come right down to it, is it identifying the pitch that you can hit out of the ballpark that turns a 10 home run guy into a 25 home run guy?
Well, you wouldn't want him to do that, Reyes, we're talking about. You wouldn't want him to alter his swing as he walks here.
On base for the 4th time tonight.
And that is his 43rd walk of the season. I would be.
The catcher, Paul
I wouldn't want him to alter his swing. Yes, when you're red hot, you can get a pitch up and maybe swing it slightly up. But Reyes is in a leadoff position. You want him staying level, hitting line drives, doubles and triples. And if he hits 15, 20 home runs, that's a bonus.
By accident.
Yes.
So he's not looking for a pitch to hit for a home run. He's looking for a pitch to drive.
Yes. And you just get under it a little bit, you know.
Reyes has his 51st steal tonight. And LaDuca takes a strike. Give him a chance to get acquainted with Sosa.
I mean, all you kids out there, the guys hit home runs that are fly balls. It's not necessarily that the hitter is swinging up. It could be a level swing, and you just, because it's a cylindrical bat and a round ball, you get a little under it, and that's why it's a fly ball. It's still a level swing.
I love that word.
Cylindrical.
Cylindrical.
Oh, I have a few more.
You can say them, though.
Listen, we're getting near the end of the season. I got a backload of. We got years together up here. I got lots coming.
37 games to go after tonight. You roll them out of the warehouse, okay? 1-1 to LaDuca, who's 1 for 4 on the night. Pujols and Reyes conversing. Reyes on his way. The throw by Bennett, not nearly in time. Second of the night, 52nd of the year for Reyes.
Well, a good pitch to throw, and not a good throw by Molina, who throws well. And I think a perfect throw wouldn't have had him. Oh, it's Bennett now. Excuse me.
And not a very good look either. That sideways mask thing. It's just not a good look.
Well, those catchers torque so much that mask gets shoved all over the place, but it's got to be a perfect bang bang, perfect throw, and was not there for Bennett.
And now a huge hole on the left side of the infield as Vizcaino tries to keep Reyes close to second.
This would be a big run to pick up right here. A grand slam does not beat you.
3-1 to LaDuca with Beltran looming on deck. Now, Tyler Johnson is up in the bullpen. Sosa will have no chance of getting to Carlos Delgado, which is a good thing for Sosa and a bad thing for Delgado. Delgado against Sosa, 14 for 28 with 7 home runs. Let me say that again. 14 for 28 with 7 home runs.
You should send a limo for him and make sure he gets to the ballpark.
Reyes takes off, and LaDuca hits it to center field. Encarnacion back. He'll have a play. And that's the second out, and Reyes retreats.
Well, fastball away. LaDuca just gets under it. Reyes trying to steal with that count. 2 strikes on LaDuca. It's got to be a difficult thing to be a hitter behind in the count and the runner's running. I know some guys it doesn't bother them, but it has to bother, I think, most hitters. The guys trying to steal third while you're hitting.
I think that most guys don't mind when you steal, but don't steal with 2 strikes.
Yeah.
I was that way. I did not want to get distracted with 2 strikes on me.
Here's Beltran, who's walked twice, scored twice, otherwise 0 for 2. Beltran not only 2 home runs away from tying his career high, also 2 home runs away from 200 for his career. There's a strike, 1-2.
Really puts in perspective the feat by Delgado. 2 home runs away from 200, only 200 more to catch this guy.
Well, we've talked a lot this year about the respect that Beltran has for Delgado. And, you know, Carlos Beltran is having a great career, but Delgado's been doing it for a long time. On 1-2, Sosa strikes him out. That ends the inning. 2 strikeouts for Jorge Sosa in relief. So he keeps the game right where it is as he blows one by Beltran. Still 10-6.
Get off the couch and into an even more comfortable seat at Shea. Sunday, August 27th is Mets Seat Cushion Day, presented by Lincoln Mercury. For your printed home tickets to see the Mets host the Phillies, go to Mets.com.
Well, you may have heard that this September the WB11 is changing into the new CW11. So what does this mean to fans of the WB11 news? Well, the name of the station may be changing, but the CW11 will still be the place to find your favorite news shows in the morning and at night. Chad Bradford stays on to pitch the 8th inning and throws strike one to Scott Rolen, who homered his last time up, his 19th of the year. Mets used the combination of Hernandez, Feliciano, and Bradford to get through the 7th. And rather than going to Heilman in the 8th, which has been standard practice, Willie stays with Bradford.
3 days in a row for Heilman.
Preston Wilson on deck, another right-hand batter, and Juan Encarnacion yet another behind him.
I think it's a 4-run lead. If there's any trouble, he'll come in with the Heilman to come in and put the fire out.
The Mets bullpen has been the best in the league by far. And part of that is the way this bullpen has been managed. It's one of the hardest jobs that a manager has, making sure that bullpen functions with proper rest and proper usage.
And he does a great job of it. A couple times this year he's left guys in certain games where almost like you're not giving up the game, certainly, but managing to make sure that these guys are rested in September.
And it's one part of the job that has changed so significantly over the years, because 25-30 years ago you had one guy who you relied on as your big gun out of the bullpen. He might pitch 2 or 3 innings at a time, but the machinations are much more intricate now.
Your old Boston days, where we only had was Dick Raditz out there in the bullpen.
Whether it was Tug McGraw or Bruce Sutter or whoever it was, you had the one guy. Basically, you had 4 starters until it went to 5. I mean, late 60s, early 70s. And you had 1 or 2 guys out of the bullpen you relied on, and everybody else was of no importance at all.
Well, listen, the bullpen's getting 9 outs a game. I mean, that's a significant amount of work tonight. More than that, trying to get 12 outs.
And sometimes it's 4 or 5 guys getting the 9 outs and figuring out who is in what spot, who's had enough rest, what the matchups are.
20 years ago, if your bullpen was getting 9 outs, because you were getting blown out.
You don't have any doubleheaders anymore now, too. You always had to have that swing starter. And now, there's no more doubleheaders, only the makeup doubleheaders. That made it a little bit more difficult. But, in the 60s, there was always 7 guys on the staff. And some of the bullpen guys started games, because every Sunday you had a doubleheader in those days.
But then again, every Monday you had a day off.
It's true.
With more doubleheaders, there were a lot more days off. And Rolen with a long turn at bat.
Well, the game has just changed because of the dreaded pitch count, which pervades all of baseball starting in Little League. This game has changed. So the bullpens are arguably have to be the strongest part of many baseball clubs.
I just think that managing a Major League Baseball team in general is more difficult than it's ever been, with the salaries and sense of entitlement, with the way the game's changed in terms of the bullpens, with the scrutiny that's given to every move over the course of a season. I don't think it's ever been harder.
I agree with you 100%. And there are some managers that manage scared. They manage about what the writers are going to write.
And Rolen rips one down the line on the 11th pitch of the at bat. It was quite a tussle, and Rolen wins it, a leadoff double, his 2nd extra base hit of the game. And so the Cardinals trying to fight back here in the 8th. So check out the Toyota National League scoreboard. Roy Oswalt beat the Reds this afternoon. That's an opportunity for the Cardinals to expand their lead. Giants beat Arizona this afternoon. Diamondbacks' 4th straight loss. 2 home runs for Miguel Cabrera tonight. He's having a great year. Pittsburgh leading in Atlanta after they beat the Braves last night. Milwaukee with the lead over the Rockies, who are fading. And the Phillies trying for their 5th straight win behind Brett Myers. So here's Preston Wilson. Homered his last time up, his 11th of the year, his 2nd as a Cardinal. And Bradford throws a strike. Did either one of you ever give a thought to being a manager at any point while you were playing or afterward?
Only in my dreams, and they were nightmares.
0-2 to Wilson.
I never thought. To this day, I think that I'd have a hard time communicating with the players. Ronnie and I were talking to how when we got older in our careers and the new generation came in and different music and.
So it's about the music. As Wilson drives one to left, and it's over the head of Tucker, and hops over the wall for a ground rule double. That'll bring home Rolen. Run scoring double for Preston Wilson, and now the Mets lead is down to 10-7. So the Cardinals keep fighting back.
Well, there's a rule when you got to lead late, nothing over your head. You got to play a little bit deeper. And this ball gets over Tucker's head. It wasn't as if it was a line drive. It was balls hit well, but it had some hang time. Got caught playing a little bit too shallow. And Preston's got some power. We know that.
Well, if Willie Randolph wanted to rest Aaron Heilman tonight, the plan is starting to change because Heilman's up in the bullpen. He was hoping to nurse Bradford through the 8th against these right-hand hitters, but Bradford, after getting the big out in the 7th against Pujols, has given up back-to-back doubles here in the 8th. And now the Cardinals need just one more base runner to get the tying run to the plate.
Well, the wheels are churning here on both benches.
Willie Randolph has a huge lead in the division. But if you have an 8-run lead, you have to win that game, no matter what the standings say.
And this might be your main competitor here. You don't want this team to come in and come from behind win. I don't want them to have a chance to take the series. This is the last time you're going to play. You want to send them on their way. You got a big lead here. You're looking to get this one and go for sweep tomorrow.
One and one to Encarnacion. Down to first. Delgado's got it. Thought about waiting for Bradford, then took it himself. That's the first out as Wilson moves to third. A little indecision there on the part of Delgado, but he had plenty of time to make up for it.
Second baseman, Ronnie Belliard.
Well, I think I better take it. Always keep your pitcher out of it if you're a first baseman. They're out there, they're sweating, they're working hard. They're the ones that are exerting the most energy, particularly a starter who's throwing 9 innings. Any ball that you can get on the ground, your first baseman, you can get to the bag, wave your pitcher off and take it yourself.
So one out, a runner at third, and here's Ronnie Belliard. Mets will keep the infield back with a 3-run lead.
Talk about that at first base, and that's not taking into account the ones who can't catch. You have to know those guys too. Or late to the bag. There are, you know.
Especially a left-hander who falls off toward third base. I mean, Al Leiter had all sorts of problems getting over to first base.
Because he was all the way down third base line. He would see the ball off the bat and then react. That's too late.
I always felt that you wave off the pitcher right away, that he stops running, that he can collect himself and start thinking about the next batter, the next pitch.
1-1 to Belliard.
And the other thing you did great, Max, that more first basemen should do, if you had to toss it to first, once you collected it, you sprinted towards first and made sure underhand toss nice and soft where it's easier for the pitcher to catch as opposed to that overhand toss.
Yes.
Randy Flores, the left-hander, Braden Looper, the right-hander, up at the Cardinal bullpen. And now it's 2-1 to Belliard. So Bradford's so good at protecting other people's runs is having trouble with his own here in the 8th inning. Three and one. Well, a walk brings the tying run to the plate. Gary Bennett is out on deck. Now remember, Molina left the game earlier. He was taken out after an at-bat in the 6th inning when he didn't run hard to first base. We're not quite sure why, but that leaves the Cardinals without another catcher, which means Bennett's got a bat. Like Scott Spezia with a bat in the dugout. He would bat for the pitcher.
No, I mean, I came out of the bullpen a couple times in emergency situations, but never a reliever. But do you think it's hard sometimes for certain relievers? They know they get the ball, they have to get that quick out or a tough out, and they don't usually go back out there again. Sometimes they lose some of that adrenaline they had working.
3-2 now to Belliard. Hammered to third. Tough play for right. It's a foul ball. Well, David showed some nice athleticism getting up for that ball, but it turned out to be foul.
Preston Wilson's got to be breaking home on this ground ball. That's a high chop. David Wright wasn't playing in. He's got to be running home on that ball. He did not. He would not have scored if that ball's fair. Well, you see right here, you watch Preston. Ball's hit right at him, but his first move, it wasn't even for home. It was back.
Belliard hits it through the hole, base hit. That brings home a run to make it 10-8. And the Cardinals will get the tying run to the plate in a game they once trailed 10-2. Last night, the Mets came from 6 runs down to win. The Cardinals are trying to do them even better, trying to come from 8 runs down. Now here's Bennett batting for the first time in the game. And again, La Russa's in a spot where he might love to hit for his catcher, but he can't.
There was a day when everybody carried 3 catchers.
Of course, they weren't carrying 12 pitchers then.
Absolutely.
So Bennett steps in to short, might be 2. Reyes, tough hop to second. Woodward takes the hit, but it's bobbled by Delgado, and that keeps the inning alive. It took Reyes a while to get rid of it, and so Woodward had Belliard run on top of him.
Well, the throw's perfect to Woodward, just he doesn't make the good pivot. And Delgado's been picking it on the scoop. Nice. See how Reyes stayed in front of that ball. Very nice. Just not a strong throw on the double play. He knows he's pointing to himself. He knows he should have been out of the inning.
So the inning stays alive. Scott Spezia announces a pinch hitter. Willie Randolph out to take the ball from Chad Bradford. And on a night he would have preferred to have rested Aaron Heilman, Willie will nonetheless go to Heilman to try and get the final out here in the top of the 8th. It was 10-2. It's now 10-8. Stay tuned. Deadly News Live is the place to break down the sports issues of the day. Join the panel of special guests as the discussion and debate rages on in the heart of the media capital of the world. Daily News Live, weekdays at 5 p.m. only on Sportsnet New York. Aaron Heilman in to pitch for the 4th straight game.
Has not been scored upon in 11 of his last 12 outings. 3rd in the National League with holds with 22, looking for his 23rd tonight.
Heilman will face Scott Spezia, pinch hitting for the pitcher. Spezia has reclaimed his career this year after 2 miserable seasons in Seattle. Switch hitter, batting left-handed, tying run at the plate, and he takes the changeup for ball 1.
I think it's the red chin hair, by the way, Gary. So he's having a better year.
It's in deference to his rock and roll career with his group Sandfrog. But Scott will tell you there were years when Sandfrog was his #1 priority in the offseason. This past offseason, he worked on conditioning in baseball, and it's paid off for him. A nice year coming off the bench for St. Louis. Bennett a slow runner at first with 2 out. And a big cut at the fastball, 2-1.
He also held the line when Pujols was hurt with that oblique playing first base, but looks like he was trying to go for the downs there, Keith.
Well, Downs ties the ball game up, and a good pitch to throw. You want to try to pull one out of the ballpark? Well, pull this ball running away on the outside corner, knee high.
Now Delgado tells Heilmann he's going to play behind Bennett. There's certainly no threat to go anywhere. That gives him a little fielding depth. There's a fastball for a strike, 2-2.
Oh, I think Mr. Spiezio was caught looking for the changeup here.
$49,329 at Shea in full voice now. Laid off the changeup. 3-2.
Well, changeup. That one was up and also off the plate away. Too much to take.
Bennett will run on 3-2. Struck him out. Aaron Heilmann, pitching in his 4th straight game, gets 1 big out.
Get to Shea for Backpack Night on Thursday, August 24th. The first 12,000 kids 12 and under will receive a backpack courtesy of Verizon Wireless. Visit Mets.com for your printed home tickets.
Today, Randy Flores tries to hold the fort for the Cardinals.
This is his 53rd game in here to face Delgado. Pitched a scoreless 7th in last night's ball game with 2 strikeouts.
Billy Wagner getting ready to try and save it for New York. Mets had a 10-2 lead in this game. There was no thought given to Wagner pitching tonight, but things change. Delgado 2 doubles in 4 trips. He's driven in a run. Flores pitched a 1-2-3 inning last night, and Delgado fouls the first one off. One and one to Delgado.
I've got to work on my game here. I'll tell you, when these games are 10-8, or my scorebook is awful.
I think you need to add the highlighters that Keith so adeptly employs.
That's right.
Into the shift. Belliard, who was playing very deep, has to hustle, and he gets him. Belliard likes to play deep anyway, and against Delgado, he was playing especially deep, and he had a long way to come in.
Well, Ron, you can do it like me. This is my Disraeli Gears album cover. Right there.
Beautiful.
And that, that was the colors of Disraeli Gears.
It's a work of art. It's horrible. It's just horrible. But I am colorblind, so I'm gonna have a tough time with that one.
Let's not neglect Gary's.
Man in red.
Two colors, red and black.
And very neat.
No highlighters. Oh, Flores faced just one batter, and so Braden Looper, the former Met, gets a rude greeting as he comes on to pitch. Back to Shea in just a moment.
No, I don't want. I'm not ready.
Tomorrow, the Mets conclude their series versus the Redbirds. North Fork Bank pregame live begins at 6:30 p.m. Mets Cards tomorrow, only on Sportsnet New York. Now, Braden Looper did his job last night. The other former Met, Jason Isringhausen, did not. David Wright, first man up against Looper with 1 out and nobody on. David has a 2-run double tonight in 3 trips. Wright's 2 RBIs tonight, giving him 90 for the year. Reaches and hits it to right center, but Wilson is there. 2 out. Now the Cardinal bullpen has done what the Mets bullpen did last night. Pitch well enough to keep them in the game while they try to come back.
To this point, they've only given up 1 run in, 5 2/3 innings. Maybe check that, maybe 4 2/3.
Here's Woodward, who has a 3-run double, 2 for 4 on the night. Jose Valentin hopes to be back in the lineup tomorrow night. Sean Green will be in the lineup tomorrow night. Sean's plane might land before this game ends. It's supposed to be in at 12:30. What do you think?
Well, he's going to get here before I get home.
Maybe you can give him a call. And the birthday boy, 48 candles for Julio Franco, and there he is waiting on deck. Had to get an at bat on his birthday, but Woody will have to get on first. Oldest active players in the big leagues. They're all pitchers.
You called it, Ronnie.
All pitchers except for Julio. Who's the second oldest position player? Maybe Steve Finley?
Yeah.
Moises Alou? Bonds?
Bonds, yeah.
Right? That they got 3 40-year-old outfielders in San Francisco. Could be any one of them. Two and 2 to Woodward. Now, it's a great tribute to Franco. Somebody asked him today, what do you want for your birthday? He said, I've already got it. He said, yesterday is the past, tomorrow's the future, today is a gift.
Wow.
He said, I woke up this morning, I had my gift. The third, and Rolen with that strong arm guns down Woodward. So Tony La Russa mixing and matching in his bullpen, gets the outs he needs. Now Billy Wagner will try and keep him from getting the runs he needs.
Matt Yallof here with a Chevrolet Baseball Night New York update. Twins and Orioles, and how about Torrey Hunter? Liftoff, number 18 on the season. The Twins beat the O's 4-1 at Camden Yards. Gary.
Billy Wagner is on to try and notch his 32nd save of the year. He's 2 behind Trevor Hoffman for the National League lead.
Really is moving up those lists.
To check out the AOL game summary, Jose Reyes with 3 hits tonight, including a 3-run homer. Steve Trachsel, not a great line, but in line for his 13th win. Cardinals with 3 home runs to get them back in the game. Want a better high-speed internet? You belong at AOL. Jose Vizcaino takes a strike. Vizcaino in his Cardinal debut has a 2-run homer in 4 at-bats. Wagner tied him up with the slider, 1-1. Mets have used 6 pitchers tonight after Trachsel went 5 innings plus. Roberto Hernandez for an inning and a third. Pedro Feliciano for 1 batter. Chad Bradford for an inning. Aaron Howman for 1 batter. And now Wagner ahead on Vizcaino, 1-2.
Well, I think Vizcaino was looking for a little cheddar here and got a little slider down and in.
Almost screwed himself into the ground on that pitch.
Wagner has been magnificent lately. Stays alive on a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. So Taguchi out to pinch hit for Chris Duncan to give them a right-hand batter against Wagner. And then Pujols behind him. So it's essential to keep the first 2 off base. So Albert can't be the tying run. But Vizcaino's been making a habit all night long of keeping at bats alive.
Well, he went up the ladder there, and maybe now's a good time to drop a little slider down and in or something down. Come down the ladder. We'll take a peek in here and see what LaDuca wants. Slider.
Just got a piece. Vizcaino is making sure that he doesn't strike out. He's already had an 8-pitch and a 10-pitch at bat tonight.
Another slider.
Did he get a piece?
Yes.
He did.
I'll tell you what, this is a good slider right here, Ronnie. He got a piece of it.
I don't know how he got a piece. This was an excellent one. Down and in, exactly where he wanted it.
Another slider.
It's quite a performance by Vizcaino.
Unbelievable.
It's not easy to do.
Well, they're not aggressive hacks. They're just hacks. Just, I'm going to stay in this at bat. I'd be inclined to go up the ladder now, Ronnie, with high cheddar.
I think he's going to swing at anything you throw up there now. So that's a good call.
Duca away, and it misses away. 2-2. 38-year-old Jose Vizcaino. In there for a call, strike 3. 1 down.
Well, just a real aggressive pitch inside corner, Ron.
Well, I don't know how as a hitter you counter a guy who can throw 98 miles an hour, can move his fastball inside and outside, and mix a slider down and in, and that's a strike.
And that's black.
1 out. Here's So Taguchi batting for Chris Duncan. Lifts it to center. Beltran's right there. 2 out. And now Albert Pujols will come to the plate, and even if he hits the ball 700 feet, he can't tie the game.
Well, you said it, Gary. That was the key to get those first 2 hitters.
Still got Rolen on deck. They got their big boppers here.
So the numbers against Wagner, they battled on fairly even terms. And Albert takes a strike. It's been a long time since the Mets have won a series from the Cardinals. 8 consecutive series losses. They can nail down a series with 1 more out. On the inside corner, and Wagner ahead 0-2. And Pujols fussing with Joe West.
He didn't like the call. I think it's inside. Oh, too close to take.
Base hit for Pujols toward left center. Beltran over to cut it off. Pujols trying for 2. No, he'll go back. Wisely so. Beltran did a great job cutting that ball off. Now the Cardinals will bring the tying run to the plate.
What great hitting. Look at that. Look at that level swing. This is a 2-strike count. And that is just phenomenal hitting.
Second hit of the night for Pujols, so the Cardinals are alive. Rolen has extra base hits his last 2 times up. Wagner starts him off with the slider. Willie's had to sweat this one out after the Mets had a 10-2 lead. Tying run at the plate in the top of the 9th. Slider, strike. 1-1.
Wagner came out of spring training without his best fastball. Had to throw a slider more early in the year this year, and I think his slider is better than it's ever been in his career.
That was a nasty pitch.
Back with another one, and he gets a strike, and it's 1-2. Well, he's thrown 3 straight to Rolen. Back to Wagner. And the ball game is over. Well, the Mets had to sweat it, but they hang on for a 10-8 win, their 6th straight win, and their 10th straight win here at Shea, just one shy of a club record.
Well, I tell you what, they're playing a team that's probably the 2nd best team in the National League, and they're going to put themselves in a position to come out here tomorrow night and sweep them and send them on their way. So this was a big one to hang on to.
Wagner never pitched better than this at bats. Went after Albert Pujols. Pujols got him for a single. So then when the big bopper rolling up there, were able to get him out. Just a fine performance by Wagner tonight.
And Wagner just keeps getting better and better as this season goes along. And the Mets just keep on rolling. They got a lot of offense tonight and just enough pitching to hang on as they beat the Cardinals to take the first 2 games of the series. 10-8 the final. Back to Shea in a moment.
Join the crowd. For the latest information on Mets promotional giveaways and other special events at Shea, visit Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX. Get your tickets today.
Tonight on Geico Sports Night, we'll go back inside the Mets clubhouse for reaction to Game 2 with the Cards. The newest Mets, Sean Green, talks about coming to New York, and the Jets and Giants both wrap up training camp. That plus a recap of all the baseball on Geico Sports Night following Nissan post-game live. Once again, our final score tonight, the Mets 10, the Cardinals 8. Be sure to join us for our next Mets broadcast tomorrow night at 7 o'clock as the Mets wrap up this 3-game series against the Cardinals. Coming up, it's Nissan post-game live. After their big comeback win last night, the Mets handed it off to Steve Trachsel, and they got him plenty of runs early. 4 runs in the first inning. Jose Reyes a 3-run homer. The Mets went up 10-2 in this game, and Trachsel wound up with his 13th win. But it wasn't easy as the Cardinals came back. Good defense by Preston Wilson, and then the home run started. Scott Rolen with a home run. Jose Vizcaína with a home run. Preston Wilson with a home run, and all of a sudden it was 10-8. But Billy Wagner closed the door, and the Mets win it 10-8. Now for Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez, and Chris Connor, I'm Gary Cohen. Let's go to Matt Yallof.
All right, thanks a lot, Gary. Coverage of the Mets continues here on SNY with Nissan Postgame Live. We'll break down tonight's game. We'll also have plenty of reaction from the Mets clubhouse, including words from Willie Randolph after the game. Then Geico Sports Night immediately follows with continuing Mets coverage. But it's Nissan Postgame Live, and it's coming up after a break. Oh, you can make it 10 consecutive home wins for the Mets and make it their first series win against the Cardinals in over 4 years. This is Nissan Postgame Live. Matt Yallof here inside the SNY studios in Midtown Manhattan. Keith and Ron check in a bit. A ton of hitting tonight by both sides, and once again, Steve Trachsel gets big-time run support. The Mets wishing Julio Franco a happy birthday before the game. He is 48 years old, born in 1958. Unbelievable, still going strong. Scoreless in the first. Mark Mulder back from the DL facing Jose Reyes. Reyes starts things off, pokes a base hit up the middle, the start of a big night for Jose Reyes. A couple of batters later, it's Carlos Beltran. Beltran walks, 2 men on, and the Mets are in business. Carlos Delgado, grand slam last night. How about this? Into the corner. Up against the wall, Reyes comes in. Delgado has 86 RBIs. It's 1-0 Mets. Take a look at Delgado's eyes here. Look at this guy, locked in and focused. That is some major league concentration. David Wright intentionally walked, bases loaded. Chris Woodward sharply to left. Beltran comes in. Delgado comes in. Wright comes in. Woodward into second base with a double. It's 4-0 Mets. We'll talk to Keith and Ron about Woodward's role on this team in a bit. Still in the first. Steve Trachsel at the plate. Pops one into foul territory, and check out Preston Wilson.
Reaches
That is amazing. What a great catch. Loses his hat, makes the catch, another look. With arms all over the place, sneaks that little mitten there and gets it done. Defense, a big thing in this game, and at times, Juan Encarnacion, and check out Woodward into right center field with a nice catch. Still 4-0. Mets with runners on the corners, no outs, and Carlos Beltran. Scott Rolen has 6 gold gloves for a reason. Carlos Delgado now pops it up in foul territory. Here comes Scott Rolen. Scott Rolen, 2 outs. So now David Wright's turn. David Wright, Scott Rolen. Scott Rolen, David Wright. It's a force out. The Cards prevent further damage. Into the third we go. Steve Trachsel, a little bit of trouble, faces Mark Mulder and walks him on 4 pitches. 2 batters later, Chris Duncan, he has been hot. He also walks. Next batter, Albert Pujols. What does he do? Sharp single up the middle. 2 runs come in. So the first 9 runs of this series scored by the Cardinals. Pujols drives in all of them. Cards down 4-2. Here's Jose Reyes now. He gets him back. A 3-run jack, his 15th home run of the year. The Mets are up 7-2. We're only in the 3rd inning. Mulder facing Delgado. Delgado goes the other way, and Duncan is on the run, and Duncan comes up just a tad short. He's like 6'6". If he was 6'7", maybe he makes that. Mulder done for the night. His first start back from the DL, not a good one. So Josh Hancock is in. David Wright is up, and David Wright, he's been in a mini slump lately. He pokes it into the corner. It's 9-2 Mets. Mulder is charged with all 9 runs in 3 innings of work. Trachsel gets into a little bit of trouble with an 8-run lead. Jose Vizcaino gone. Scott Rolen gone. Preston Wilson gone. Back-to-back for Rolen and Wilson, and it's a 10-6 game. Trachsel goes 5+ and gives up 6 runs. 7th inning, still 10-6. Chad Bradford's in. He has been awesome. Albert Pujols, he got that double play on Pujols last night. Gets him here again. Mets out of the inning. Top 8. Cards still trying to make a game out of it. They have 1 man on, and Preston Wilson is back at the plate, and Preston Wilson deep to left field. Tucker can't get to it. It bounces into the pen. It's a ground rule double, and Rolen scores, so we have a tight game here. It's 10-7. Wilson with a big night. Ronnie Belliard drives in Wilson. It's 10-8. What's going on here? Now Bradford has to face Gary Bennett. He had a cup of coffee with the Mets like 5 years ago. Check this out. Double play ball, but no. The low throw to Delgado. Can't come up with it. My bad for Chris Woodward. So the inning stays alive. Enter Aaron Heilman. 8th inning. Scott Spezio, gone. Gets him swinging. So the Mets need 3 more outs to complete this win and win this series to guarantee themselves a win. Wagner gets Albert Pujols with 2 outs. Pujols beats him. That's a shock, right? 98 miles an hour, right back at you. So the tying run is at the plate, and it's Scott Rolen. 2 former Phillies and number 13 wins. Billy Wagner gets the final out of the game. 10-8 is your final score, and the Mets win the first 2 games of this series, so they guarantee themselves a win in this series. Now, it's a little early in the season to talk about having the best record in the league and home field advantage throughout the NL playoffs, but the Mets now have an 11-game edge on the Cardinals. That's huge, with about a month or so left to go in this season. Chris Woodward, nice game. He talked with Chris Cotter after it.
Woody, looks like the tables were turned tonight from last night. It was you guys who had to sweat it out tonight, but you got it done. The bullpen did come through finally in the end, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, that's been our strength all year. And, obviously we got 10 runs on the board, but it was nice to see them, just close the deal.
You told me before the game you've been swinging the bat really well. You just hadn't been rewarded. Well, finally tonight you got rewarded, didn't you?
Yeah, I've been feeling pretty good. It's been a struggle to get hits all year, so it's, it's an uphill climb. But, anytime I contribute and help the team win, it's a good feeling.
They walked David Wright in front of you to load him up. Is that motivation, even though you know how great of a hitter David Wright is, you know how great of a hitter the guys are in front of you, but still, they're walking him to get to you?
Yeah, it's happened a couple of times. I've hit 6, when the lefty's pitching, a couple of times behind him and haven't come through. So, anytime that happens, it's a little bit of a slap in the face, and you definitely want to come through and help the team.
A lot of lower scoring games recently. Pitching staff has been great, but was it good, as an offensive player, position player, to finally break out and have a game like this where you put a lot of runs on the board?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with the guys we have on this team, we can score a lot of runs. The middle of our lineup is as good as anybody. So, it's the good thing is, if you win by 1 or you win by 2, it doesn't matter as long as you win.
10 in a row at home is what you've won. It's been a while since you've taken an L here at Shea. Obviously very comfortable.
Yeah, obviously we feel like we have an edge when we come here, with the fans and with the ballpark, and it's just a great atmosphere for us.
All right, great game, Woody.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, Chris Woodward with Chris Cotter. Plenty of crooked numbers for the Mets this evening. Jose Reyes, 3 hits in his last 6 games coming in. Tonight, 3 hits, including a home run, and 3 RBIs and 2 stolen bases. The guy does everything, and David Wright's got to feel good. He came into this game on an 0 for 10 skid. Tonight, 1 for 4, 2 RBIs, and 2 runs scored. As far as the Cardinals are concerned, Albert Pujols, 2 more RBIs. He has 107 on the season. And Jose Vizcaíno, a new addition to the Cardinals team, a home run in his first game with St. Louis. Now, Steve Trachsel on the mound at one point in the game had an 8-run lead to work with, but he gave up a couple in the 5th and then a couple of solo home runs in the 6th inning. The Cards went deep a total of 3 times against Trachsel. His home run total's been going up lately, and he was chased without recording an out in the 6th inning. But as you look at the pitching line, you realize Trachsel, guess what? He wins again. All this guy does is win, and if winning is the bottom line, he is the bottom line. He's 13-5. That ties him for the most wins in the National League. Roberto Hernandez, Pedro Feliciano, Chad Bradford, Aaron Heilman, and Billy Wagner. The guys talked about it during the game. He is getting good consistently. He's always been good, but he's getting better and better as the season rolls on. Save number 32. Still ahead on Nissan Postgame Live, we send it back out to Shea for analysis and a little chat with Ron Darling and Keith Hernandez. We have highlights from other games around the big leagues, and Willie Randolph checks in, as he always does, with his postgame press conference. That and more coming up on Nissan Postgame Live. Welcome back to Nissan Postgame Live. Mets win 10-8, take game 2 of this series against the Cardinals. Ron and Keith standing by at Shea Stadium. You guys talked about this during the game with Gary Cohen. Jose Reyes, is he a viable MVP candidate?
Well, I think he has a chance, an outside chance. It's difficult when you have guys like Pujols and Carlos Beltran, who are the front runners that are driving in over 100 runs, scoring 100 runs themselves. It kind of gets overshadowed. But Reyes is a very important key cog to this ball club, and he's having a phenomenal year. He had a big night tonight.
Well, think about the numbers he could put up if he hits 300. He could have 20 triples. He could have 20 home runs. He could drive in 75 to 80 runs. He could have 60 to 70 stolen bases. Those are amazing numbers. You cannot dismiss them.
All right, from one of the key cogs in the lineup to a utility player, Chris Woodward. His role on this team, talk about his value. We saw him hit tonight. We saw him make a nice defensive play tonight. What does he mean to this club at this point in the season?
Well, it takes 25 to win. It's an old adage, and, it's trite, and everybody's heard it a million times, but it's true. You take it when you got Valentin going down with the hamstring, you've got to have a utility player come off the bench and fill that void. And he had a terrific year last year. He's been struggling this year. This was a big night for him, a big 3 RBI or 2 RBI double. Yes. I forget which one it was. And in the first inning, that blew open that 4-0 lead for the Mets early. He's an important part of this team. Now, Valentin may be back in the lineup tomorrow, but like I said, you've got to have those guys that come in. When the long season guys go down, you've got to have the relievers that come in there.
All right, Steve Trachsel, we know winning is the name of the game, and all he's doing is winning. 13 wins. But with a performance like this tonight, working with that big lead, Ron, where is he now in Willie Randolph's pecking order? We're about a month and a little away from the postseason.
Well, I think that's the key. You said you're a month and a while before the postseason. Think about it this, though. What's a starting pitcher's job? His team is supposed to win. 18-7 when he takes the hill. So Steve Trachsel is getting the job done. He'll tell you that it wasn't his best start tonight, but that sometimes happens when you have a big lead. I think Steve got out of the mix of what he usually does and painting the corners and changing speeds because of that big lead, and it might have cost him. But, bottom line has been Steve Trachsel all year. Bottom line, he wins.
He seems to win each and every time out. It's amazing. 13 wins now, tied for the lead in the NL going into tonight. 13, the most in the National League. Dave Williams tomorrow. His first start, not bad. Leg cramps, had to leave. How about his role and what he means to this team now that the uncertainty surrounding Glavine it's not so cloudy anymore?
Well, Glavin's going to come back, and he's going to pitch, but he needs a little bit of time to get some bullpen sessions and get ready. Pedro is going to be on his pace when he comes back, so you need guys to fill in. Dave Williams is one of those guys, and he did. I thought he pitched very well in his last start. He threw strikes, pitched inside to right-handers, so I'm sure that they're very confident with him tomorrow to put him out there and try to get the sweep. He's going to have to go through that difficult right-handed hitting lineup of St. Louis, though. But a tough chore for the Mets, but it'd be nice to sweep the Cardinals, who have really had their number the past few years.
All right, Ron and Keith at Chase Stadium. Thanks, guys. We appreciate it, as always.
Thank you.
All right, have a great night. Ron and Keith there at Shea after the Mets win 10-8. Your final score at Shea Stadium. We have more coming up here on Nissan Postgame Live, including a sneak peek at what's coming up on Geico Sports Night following this program. Don't go away.
Tomorrow, the Mets and Cardinals wrap their 3-game series, and Baseball Night in New York, presented by ChevyOffers.com, delivers all the action from Shea. Mets, Cardinals. Coverage begins tomorrow at 6:30, only on Sportsnet New York.
Get your New York sports here.
And here's Beltran. For one swing could win it for New York. He whips it to deep right. That ball is out of here. Out of here. The Mets win the ball game.
Much more in another big night for the Mets offense, but first, to check on what's coming up on Geico Sports Night, we check in with Kenny Choi in Studio A. Hey, Kenny.
Good to see you, Matt. We'll have much more reaction from Shea Stadium as well, plus an injury update for the Yankees. Hideki Matsui may be a step closer to coming back, but Mike Mussina is headed to the DL. We'll check in on the Yanks as their West Coast trip continues out in Seattle. And the newest Jet is already creating problems. Kevin Barlow rips his former coach. We'll have all the details on that story. All that and much more coming up on Geico Sports Night. But now we send it back to Matt Yallof for more Nissan Postgame Live. Matt.
All right, thanks a lot, Kenny Choi. We look forward to that. We move on now with more baseball. We're talking about the American League. The world champs, Ozzie Guillen and the White Sox, looking to snap a little 2-game losing streak against the first-place Tigers. Joe Crede, somehow, how the heck did that ball go out? His 26th home run, he just flicked his wrist on that one. Be a 6-3 lead. And then the Tigers and Sean Casey doing some damage. Maglio Ordonez comes in. Carlos Guillen comes in. The White Sox lead now down to 1 at 6-5. 7th inning, Joe Crede. And that looks like a home run. That's what it's supposed to look like. His second in the game. The Sox take it by a score of 7-5. What about the Twins? They're in this thing, certainly in the wild card hunt, no doubt. Michael Kadire driving in his teammate Nick Punto with a double to left field. This is Camden Yards tonight, 1-0 Twins. Bottom third, Nick Markakis, 3 home runs last night. How about an RBI here? Kevin Millar comes in, touches home. It's a 2-1 game. Top 5, 3-1 game. Kadire, single to right field. Joe Mauer comes in. Minnesota takes it by a score of 4-1. So what does it all mean in terms of the Central, in terms of the wild card standings? We take a look. The Tigers lead in the Central, 6.5. The AL wild card, White Sox and Twins separated by just a half game there. The Red Sox 4.5 back. National League now, Astros and Reds. This took place this afternoon in Cincinnati. Chris Burke, one of the heroes of the postseason last year. Chris Burke in a 2-1 Reds lead. Burke chops one through the hole there. It scores Brad Ausmus. It's the tying run. It's a 2-2 game in the 7th inning. 3-2 Houston in the 7th. Aubrey Huff playing little baseball. Chris Burke and Lance Berkman come in. It's a 5-2 Astros lead. In the 7th, Adam Everett, the light-hitting Adam Everett, comes up and does some big things. It's a double to right center. Huff scores. The Astros win it by a score of 7-3. So the Reds lose, the Cardinals lose. So the Cardinals lead in the Central is still 1, while the Reds lead in the wild card 1.5. The Phillies are in progress now. The Padres 1.5. The Giants 4 back. A great little wild card race going on in the National League there. All right, we have some down on the farm stuff to tell you about, and here it is. Kevin Mulvey makes his B-Mets debut tomorrow. Binghamton Mets. Mulvey is the Mets' top draft choice this year. A New Jersey native and Villanova product. He'll start against the Erie Seawolves. So that's a big start for Kevin Mulvey, who's the 2nd-round pick, first pick for the Mets in this year's draft. And the Cyclones, great promotion at Keyspan Park on Saturday, August 26th. They're going to celebrate that 26-inning game they played earlier this year. They are looking for people born in 1926. If you were, you may be one of the lucky ones to receive free tickets, and you may be one of the ones to throw out the first pitch. For information, call 718-449-8497 or email Rebecca at brooklyncyclones.com. Nissan Postgame Live continues after a break. More to do from Shea. The Mets beat the Cards. We're taking you right up to Geico Sports Night. It follows this show, and it's only on SNY. Our Nissan Play of the Game provided by former Met Preston Wilson, not on offense, but on defense. Check out this catch down the right field line. How? How the heck does he catch that ball? Loses his hat, finds the ball. Here's the perfect look. This is what you need. Takes it away from that youngster. You know what? He's working. It's part of his job. He's got to do what he's got to do. Sensational catch by Preston Wilson, the Nissan Play of the Game. The upcoming schedule for the Mets looks like this. They go for the sweep tomorrow night, and if the Mets win, they'll match their longest home win streak ever. They'll win 11 games in a row at home. They've done that 4 times, so look for that tomorrow night. Then the Phillies roll in for a series. It's after the Cardinal series wraps up tomorrow. Dave Williams takes the ball Thursday. That's in the final game of the series. His second start for the Mets. He was solid in his first start. He went 5 2/3, gave up 3 against the Rockies. That was on Saturday. The Anchorage, Alaska native did not get a decision in that game, his first with the Mets. Now, he has a history against the Cardinals. In 8 games, he's 2-5. It's going to be his 3rd start against the Redbirds this year. The first 2 came while Williams was pitching as a member of the Cincinnati Reds. Now, after his Mets debut last Saturday, in which he left the game with leg